Have you ever noticed yourself just existing rather than actually living? It's a typical sensation, almost as if we're on autopilot, influenced by echoes from our history and expectations established by others. If this speaks to you, you're not alone. Today, we'll begin on an adventure together, a voyage of self-discovery and realizing our own worth. It's not only about breaking free, it is about creating a life that truly reflects who we are and what we hope to become. Buddhism places a strong emphasis on understanding and developing our intrinsic value regardless of external circumstances. Buddha famously observed that our lives are shaped by our thoughts. This powerful theory proposes that detaching from past influences and cultural expectations is not only freeing, but also necessary for growth. As we examine these ideas, we hope to not only get a deeper understanding of ourselves, but also to construct a path that reflects our innermost beliefs and desires. So if you've been feeling trapped or simply going through the motions, let's break free. It's time to paint a new vision of your life, one in which you are the sole creator of your destiny. Let's explore what it means to genuinely know yourself, beyond the shadows of your upbringing or the roles you've been taught to play. Together we'll discover the beauty of self-esteem and the freedom that comes with self-authorship. Welcome to a transformative journey to uncover the best version of you. First, determine your worth. Consider standing in front of a blank canvas with every hue imaginable at your disposal. This canvas depicts your life with the colors representing your decisions, experiences, and values. Now consider what influences your choices. Is it your background, others' expectations, or a true reflection of your own values? It's a topic worth considering because the first step toward real self-discovery is recognizing and accepting your intrinsic worth, regardless of external factors. In Buddhist philosophy, there is a powerful principle that revolves around focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't. This perspective is critical when discussing self-worth. We frequently use our past, the judgments of others, or even cultural conventions to influence our self-esteem and life direction. Buddhists, like a wise monk, emphasize that external circumstances do not have to disrupt our peace of mind or self-esteem unless we allow them to. Why not recover that power? Why not decide that your worth isn't determined by your background or the labels placed on you? To begin this process, recognize where your present feeling of value comes from. Do you feel worthwhile because you meet others' expectations, because you have a certain job title, or because you appear a specific way? While these factors are important in our lives, they do not represent the essence of true self-worth. According to the Buddhists, your worth is determined by your reasoning abilities, virtues, acts, and ability to love and exhibit kindness. These are inherent and can only be given or taken away by you. Now consider the characteristics and achievements that make you proud of yourself. These do not have to be monumental. They could be as simple as your capacity to listen effectively, your desire to learn, or your courage to stand up for what you believe in. Write these down. Imagine them as brushstrokes on the canvas of your life. Each one is a tribute to your worth, created by you rather than imposed by the outside world. Next, it's necessary to let go of the factors in your life that have prevented you from reaching your greatest potential. This could entail creating boundaries with family, choosing friends that encourage rather than disparage you, or rejecting social conventions that do not accord with your ideals. It's like clearing your palette. To view the bright, real colors clearly, you must first eliminate the confused hues. Remember, as Buddha said, that you have control over your thinking, not external events. Realize this and you will gain strength. Accepting your self-worth also entails forgiving oneself for previous faults. Consider them learning experiences that have helped you grow, rather than permanent blemishes on your character. This is not about forgetting your history, but about seeing it through the eyes of compassion and understanding. It acknowledges that, while the past has shaped you, it does not define you. Every day reinforce your sense of self-worth. Practice affirmations that remind you of your innate worth. Engage in activities that will help you to demonstrate your values. Connect with others that recognize and value your authentic self. This persistent exercise will strengthen your self-esteem, making it less vulnerable to outside influences. 2. Face your anti-self. We all have that inner voice that whispers doubts and concerns, leading us to believe we are less capable, less worthy, or just not enough. It's like a shadow that follows us around, influencing how we perceive ourselves and our behaviors. This internal enemy, dubbed our anti-self, can be a significant impediment to self-discovery and personal development. Recognizing and confronting this aspect of ourselves is not just good. It's vital if we want to live a fulfilled and true life. Buddhism emphasizes self-examination and mastery over illogical impulses and thoughts. Buddhists think that by knowing our internal problems, we may regulate them rather than letting them dictate our behaviors and emotions. Your anti-self capitalizes on your vulnerabilities and prior traumas, exploiting them to undermine your growth and self-esteem. It's critical to accept this aspect of your brain, not to empower it, but to disarm it. Begin by determining when your anti-self is most active. Does it emerge when you're ready to make a big decision, or when you're confronting a challenge? Perhaps it manifests as procrastination, negativity, or self-sabotage. These are times when your anti-self takes control and steers you away from your full potential. Recognize the patterns. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. Once you've recognized these patterns, you might examine their validity. Challenge the story that your anti-self is promoting. Are these thoughts accurate, or are they warped reflections of your fears? Buddha, a wise and Buddhist emperor, encouraged us to question our impressions, not take things at face value, but to scrutinize and test their veracity. Apply the Buddhist examination to your thoughts. Most of the time, what you tell yourself when you're at your lowest isn't true, but rather worries disguised as reality. Addressing your anti-self also entails developing resilience and compassion for oneself. It's about learning to talk to oneself with the same care and encouragement you give to a good friend. When your anti-self speaks, react with affirmations of your value, accomplishments, and abilities. This does not imply that you should ignore your shortcomings or failures, but rather examine them through the prism of constructive criticism rather than self-condemnation. Visualization and introspection are another effective methods for weakening your anti-self. Imagine your life without the weight of your anti-self. What would you do differently? How would you feel? Buddhists utilize visualization to practice various outcomes and reinforce desired behaviors. It can assist emphasize the positive qualities of your persona and remind you of who you can be without constantly doubting yourself. Make these reflections into actions. Set tiny, manageable goals that reflect your genuine self's aspirations. Every time you achieve a goal despite your anti-self's opposition, you demonstrate to yourself that you are greater than your doubts and concerns. This not only weakens your anti-self, but also creates a more genuine, confident version of yourself. Remember that addressing your anti-self does not imply eliminating a part of your personality. It is about integrating your full being, accepting and managing the aspects of yourself that you wish didn't exist. It is a path of self-reconciliation that will result in a more unified and peaceful living. 3. Make the first step toward transformation. Change is not limited to large leaps. Small, consistent steps are frequently used to gradually provide the groundwork for change. It's about making a conscious decision to direct your life in a way that is more in line with who you are and who you want to become. Now, making this shift is not always easy, especially when it involves changing long-held behaviors or confronting deeply set beliefs. However, even modest acts of daring can inspire enormous transformations. The Buddhists urge us to focus on what we can control, our ideas, decisions, and actions. These are your tools for change. Begin with what you can control directly. You can't always control the situations you find yourself in, but you can control how you react to them. This Buddhist principle serves to keep our efforts grounded in reality, ensuring that our energies are not wasted on the unchangeable, but instead directed toward actionable, meaningful areas. First, clarify what change means to you. Is it a professional change, a healthier lifestyle, or the development of stronger relationships. Whatever it is, be explicit about what you hope to achieve. Define your shift not only in terms of final outcomes, but also in terms of the habits and everyday actions that will get you there. This step is about establishing a clear direction, a road plan that will guide your decisions and actions moving ahead. Next, make a plan. This does not need to be a strict minute-by-minute schedule. Instead, consider it as setting intentions that will lead you throughout the day. For example, if your aim is to become healthier, your plan may include setting particular meal times, selecting healthier food selections, and arranging frequent exercise. The Buddhist technique of premeditation can help in this situation. Consider potential obstacles and devise strategies to handle them. This might be as simple as packing a nutritious lunch to avoid the temptation of fast food or scheduling a break from work to stretch. Now consider the habits that now shape your day. Which of these help you achieve your goals and which do not? It is critical to identify behaviors that may be impeding your growth and strive consciously to change them. This step of the process can be difficult because old behaviors are strongly ingrained. However, remember that the goal is growth, not perfection. Every minor adjustment you successfully implement is a win. It's also crucial to surround oneself with people who encourage you. Change can be challenging, and having a network of friends, family, or colleagues that understand and support your aspirations can be quite beneficial. Share your plans with them. Often, simply stating your intentions can help them feel more genuine and achievable. Consider finding out communities or groups that share your goals. For example, if you want to enhance your job, a professional network or mentor might provide vital advice and encouragement. Accept the Buddhist practice of reflection. At the conclusion of each day, spend a few moments to reflect on what went well and what did not. What obstacles did you encounter? How did you address them? What could you do differently tomorrow? This contemplation is about learning and adapting rather than judging oneself. It's about acknowledging your strengths and being open about where you can grow. Fourth, improve your social life. Imagine sitting in a cafe with friends, each talk a thread in a larger tapestry of shared experiences and mutual understanding. This setup isn't just for fun. It is an essential component of what allows us to thrive as humans. Our social connections do more than just fill our time. They nourish our souls, test our intellect, and strengthen our spirits. In today's talk, we'll look at how improving your social life may have a significant impact on your personal development, and how Buddhist ideals can help us cultivate meaningful relationships. Buddhism, at its core, promotes relationships founded on virtue and mutual respect, directing us toward interactions that strengthen our character and reflect our deepest ideals. Buddha, a Buddhist philosopher, once remarked about the significance of carefully selecting our partners, as they have the ability to determine our fate. He told us to surround ourselves with people who exemplify the values we like and inspire us to achieve our full potential. This insight is ageless and especially pertinent today, when our social circles may easily become echo chambers, reinforcing habits and attitudes that do not serve our best interests. To significantly improve your social life, begin by evaluating the quality of your current relationships. Ask yourself if these relationships help me grow. Do they motivate me to become a better person? Are these ties making me happier and more fulfilled? If not, it may be time to seek out new experiences that are more aligned with your unique beliefs and goals. This does not imply that you should abruptly take individuals out of your life, but rather gradually begin to spend more time with those who positively influence you. Next, actively participate in communities where you can meet like-minded people. Whether it's a book club, a fitness class, a local Buddhist meetup, or an internet forum dedicated to a particular cause, there are locations where you can interact with others who share your interests and values. These conversations are not only enjoyable, but also provide chances for personal development. Engaging in meaningful activities with others might result in more in-depth conversations and connections than surface-level interactions. Remember that improving your social life entails not just increasing the quantity of encounters you have, but also improving their quality. Practice staying present during talks. Active listening. Demonstrate empathy and genuine interest in what others have to say. The Buddhists promote the practice of sympathia, which holds that all humans are manifestations of the same universal spirit, and that we are mutually dependent. This viewpoint motivates us to treat others with kindness and empathy, developing a sense of community and connection. Furthermore, embrace the Buddhist concept of philanthropia, which is an affection for humanity that extends beyond social formalities. Show kindness without expecting anything in return. Lend a helping hand when it is required, and practice generosity. These acts not only help others, but also improve your own life. Creating a positive energy and goodwill loop has the potential to reshape your social landscape. Don't be hesitant to outside your comfort zone, start discussions, suggest new activities, and be open to meeting new people. Each new interaction has the potential to open up a new world of ideas, viewpoints, and friendships. Remember, the goal is to create a network of relationships that are both gratifying and motivating, that will push you to be better and help you grow. 5. Personal life audit. Taking a step back to analyze your life may seem like a daunting chore, but it is vital if you want to truly improve yourself. Consider it a life audit, an opportunity to sit down and reflect on what is and is not working in your life. This is not about examining every tiny mistake or setback, but about getting a clear and honest picture of where you are today versus where you want to be. Let's look at how this introspection might serve as a foundation for your personal development. Buddhism teaches us the importance of reflection and self-examination, guided by its timeless wisdom. Buddhist philosophers such as Buddha frequently journaled to reflect on their day, acts, and growth in virtue. This practice is not solely about accountability. It's a powerful method to gain a better understanding of oneself and match one's life with one's principles. So, how do you start this personal audit? Begin by examining the many parts of your life: relationships, profession, health, personal development, and leisure, and asking yourself if they genuinely reflect your core values. Ask yourself if your relationships are enriching and supportive. Is my employment rewarding and in line with my own goals? Am I taking proper care of my physical and mental health? What am I doing to develop my mind and spirituality? How do I unwind and recharge? It is critical to approach these concerns openly and without judgment. Remember, this is not about criticizing yourself for not being perfect. It is about discovering chances for advancement. A Buddhist approach to this audit would involve focusing on what you can manage. You may not be able to change every facet of your employment or instantly fix a relationship, but you can alter your approach to these situations. For example, if you discover that your work is unsatisfactory, evaluate what parts you can change. Could you take on new projects or tasks that better align with your interests? What can you do to improve a troubled relationship by communicating more openly and demonstrating greater empathy? Once you've identified areas for growth, make specific targets. These should be specific, quantifiable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART. This strategy breaks down huge goals into smaller, more attainable tasks that you can take right away. For example, if you want to enhance your health, a good aim would be to walk 10,000 steps per day, 5 days a week for the next month. Reflecting on your own life entails acknowledging and appreciating what is already going effectively. This is not only about resolving issues, it's about leveraging your strengths. A Buddhist finds happiness not in expensive extravagances, but in modest virtues and the satisfaction of self-improvement. Celebrate the areas of your life that are thriving. Buddhists think that gratitude is a form of knowledge. Appreciating the good not only improves your well-being, but also reinforces the positive features. Please remember to review this audit on a frequent basis. Life changes as do your aspirations and requirements. Set aside time, perhaps once every 3 months, to sit down and examine your progress. This regular check-in keeps you on track with your values and ensures that your life direction changes as necessary. The Buddhist practice of continual self-evaluation helps to solidify the habits and lifestyle changes you want to keep. with each review providing an opportunity to recalibrate and concentrate. Sixth, health and learning. When we talk about laying the groundwork for a fulfilling life, two key pillars constantly come up: health and continual learning. These are not simply aspects of a well-rounded life. They are crucial tools that allow us to realize our greatest potential. Let's look at why nurturing your body and mind is not only excellent practice, but also necessary for everyone who wants to live a life of purpose and vitality. The Buddhists placed a strong focus on maintaining physical and mental health, viewing them as responsibilities not only to ourselves, but also to our community and society as a whole. They recognize that a sound mind and a sound body is better equipped to practice virtue and wisdom. Think about it. Isn't it true that feeling physically healthy makes you more productive and positive? And when you're learning and growing intellectually, don't you feel more invigorated and involved with your surroundings? These states feed into a virtuous loop, enhancing one another and improving your quality of life. Starting with physical health, the goal is more than merely avoiding disease. It is about developing the vitality and stamina to face life's obstacles. Regular physical activity, a well-balanced diet, and enough sleep. These are all well-known health pillars, but consider them daily acts of self-respect rather than duties. Musonius Rufus, a Buddhist philosopher, maintained that frequent exercise is vital to retain the health and vigor required to carry out one's duties. So choose activities that you enjoy, such as yoga, running, or dance. Make them a part of your routine, not as a punishment or a health regimen, but as an expression of your body's abilities. In addition to maintaining your physical health, lifelong learning allows you to develop your cerebral faculties. The Buddhists promoted study and self-improvement through philosophy, which they employed to improve their lives. In our modern world, this translates to constantly expanding your knowledge and skills, whether by formal schooling, reading, or participating in new experiences. Learning keeps your mind sharp and adaptive, which is essential in this ever-changing environment. Furthermore, continuous learning promotes humility, an important Buddhist virtue. It reminds us that no matter how much we know, there is always more to learn. This mindset encourages curiosity and openness to new ideas, which is crucial for personal and professional development. Accept opportunities to learn new things, whether it's through a professional course, a new pastime, or simply reading about a topic that interests you. Each piece of knowledge deepens your character and broadens your worldview. However, the purpose of this quest of health and knowledge is more than just self-improvement. It is about preparing yourself to make a more meaningful contribution to the lives of others. Buddhism teaches us that we are all part of a broader community, and that our happiness and knowledge have far-reaching consequences. When you're healthy and well-informed, you're more equipped to lead, assist, and inspire people around you. So I encourage you to see your health and education, not just as personal aspirations, but as essential components of your contribution to the world. Maintain your body as the wonderful, capable mechanism that it is. Feed your mind with the rich fuel of information and see how your life changes, not just inside, but also in the way you affect others. 7. Establish meaningful connections. Building strong, meaningful friendships is similar to growing a garden. Knowing what to cultivate and what to prune involves patience, effort, and some wisdom. Relationships, whether friendships, love engagements, or professional associations, are crucial not just for our satisfaction, but also for our personal development. Today, we'll look at how nurturing these connections may improve our lives, as well as how Buddhist ideas can help us build and maintain relationships that are not just gratifying, but also virtue-based. Buddhism emphasizes the value of community and the belief that people are basically social beings. Buddha, a philosopher, spoke extensively about humanity's interconnectedness and the significance of acting in harmony with others. This does not imply that all relationships must be ideal or that conflict should never arise. Instead, it implies that the connections worth pursuing are those that push us to improve and act with integrity. When we talk about making meaningful connections, we start by choosing people we spend our time with. Buddhists such as Buddha suggest picking companions who embody the qualities we admire and strive to, as these connections build our character. Look about you. Consider who motivates, inspires, and encourages you to be your best self. These are the ties worth investing in. They are the ones who will not only encourage you during difficult times, but will also openly enjoy your accomplishments. Investing in these connections entails more than simply spending time together. It requires a profound level of engagement. It entails being present physically, emotionally, and intellectually. Actively listen to what people are saying, demonstrate empathy and understanding, offer help without waiting to be asked, and accept help when offered. These are the foundational elements of a strong connection. Furthermore, Buddhism teaches us not to avoid emotions, but to understand and handle them constructively. In your relationships, this entails being honest about your feelings and addressing disputes as they happen, rather than allowing resentment to grow. It entails having the courage to be vulnerable, to disclose your feelings and anxieties, and to let others truly know you. This kind of openness has the potential to convert good relationships into exceptional ones, forming bonds built on trust and respect. It's also important to recognize the importance of thankfulness in partnerships. Reflect on what each person offers to your life and express your gratitude openly. Gratitude enhances the importance of your connections and serves as a reminder of why you choose to form these bonds. It transforms daily interactions into opportunities for affirmation, strengthening the bond of mutual respect and compassion. Remember that real connections aren't static. They evolve as you and those around you grow and change. This indicates that, despite your best efforts, a relationship may no longer be appropriate for the individuals involved. Here, the Buddhist principle of accepting what you cannot change can be useful. If a relationship changes or ends, consider the benefits it brought into your life. Learn from the event and move forward gracefully. Finally, broaden the scope of your significant contacts outside your small social circle. Engage with your neighborhood, join in group activities that match your interests, and reach out to build new relationships. Each new person you meet might bring new ideas and experiences to your life, enriching it and helping you grow. 8. Work in spirituality imagines waking up every morning with a strong sense of purpose, feeling linked to both your work and the ideals you cherish. This is more than just an ideal. It is something we can achieve by aligning our work life and spiritual practices with our true selves. Work and spirituality, while seemingly distinct, are inextricably linked. They both shape our perceptions of ourselves and the world, as well as the legacy we leave behind. Let's look at how to find harmony in these two areas, as well as how Buddhism may help us with timeless wisdom. The Buddhists saw work as more than a means to an end. Buddha frequently focused on the concept of contributing to the greater good through one's activities. Work in this sense becomes a type of service, not just to others, but also to yourself, because it is a place where your abilities, effort, and discipline come together to create something worthwhile. Think about it. When your work reflects your ideals and passions, it is more than just a job. It satisfies a deeper desire for purpose and contribution. If you're feeling disengaged from your career, it may be time to reconsider. Ask yourself, does my employment match my values? Does it allow me to develop, contribute, and discover meaning? If the answer is no, think about the modifications you could make. Perhaps it's a shift in perspective, focusing on areas of your work that are in line with your ideals. Perhaps it's time to look into different options that better fit who you are. The Buddhists encourage us to make such decisions with clarity and courage, focusing on what we can control while embracing life's uncertainties with grace. Spirituality plays an equally vital role in achieving balance and fulfillment. Spirituality, according to the Buddhists, was about living in harmony with nature and acknowledging the interconnection of all things, rather than religious ideology. They believed that fostering inner attributes such as intelligence, courage, justice, and self-control was the pinnacle of spiritual practice. These values inspire them to live lives of purpose and endurance, regardless of the external conditions. Spirituality in today's world can take numerous forms, ranging from meditation and mindfulness to doing acts of kindness or reflecting on one's unique ideals. What matters is to find habits that ground you and connect you to something bigger than yourself. This might be a morning meditation to set the tone for the day, journaling about your goals and problems, or simply expressing appreciation for the possibilities and relationships in your life. The Buddhist practice of introspection is especially applicable here. At the conclusion of each day, reflect on your actions. Were they consistent with your values? Did they help you reach your personal and professional goals? This type of reflection not only strengthens your feeling of purpose, but it also allows you to start each day with a fresh focus and aim. Another method to reconcile work and spirituality is to explore how your activities benefit the larger good. Whether you're a teacher molding young minds, a builder constructing homes, or an artist inspiring via creativity, your effort has the ability to favorably affect others. Recognizing this greater significance can elevate even boring jobs to acts of service and connection. Do not underestimate the power of balance. Work and spirituality grow when given adequate attention. Overworking can lead to burnout, and ignoring your inner life can leave you feeling disoriented. Set limits to preserve your well-being and schedule time for spiritual practices. This balance is not static. It changes based on your needs and circumstances, but striving for it ensures that no part of your life is overlooked. 9. Build your team. Nobody accomplishes greatness alone. Think about it. Every significant success story you've heard has most certainly featured a team, whether it was a group of collaborators, mentors, friends, or even family members who provided support and direction along the journey. While we frequently celebrate individual accomplishments, the truth is that the path to success is firmly anchored in the relationships we form and the support networks we create. Today, we'll look at why it's so important to establish your team and how Buddhist wisdom may help you put together a group that empowers and inspires you. The Buddhists emphasize the value of community and the connection of all people. Buddha regularly reminded himself and us that humans are social beings by nature, meant to cooperate and help one another. He wrote that whatever is bad for the hive is also bad for the bee, highlighting how our personal well-being is linked to the health of our relationships. Creating a strong team is more than just a strategic decision. It reflects the underlying human impulse to connect and collaborate. Understanding your aims and beliefs is the first stage in team building. Who are the people you need in your corner to help you achieve your goals? These could be mentors who share their experience, peers who challenge and motivate you, or close friends who offer emotional support and encouragement. Just as Buddha suggested picking companions who embody the values you respect, you should surround yourself with people who motivate you to be better and share your goal for success. However, building a strong team requires more than just finding the right people. It's also about how you foster those relationships. True teamwork is based on trust, mutual respect, and open communication. Make an attempt to fully understand the folks you're working with. What are their key strengths, motivations, and challenges? Understanding their perspectives allows you to create an environment in which everyone feels respected and empowered to offer their full potential. One of the fundamental principles of Buddhism is justice, which entails treating people fairly and with love. Apply this to how you engage with your staff. Acknowledge their efforts. Celebrate their successes. Provide helpful criticism as needed. When people feel valued and understood, they are more willing to go above and above. They do it not only for the team, but also for themselves. Building a team entails being choosy about who you let into your inner circle. Not everyone will share your beliefs or endorse your ideas, and that's fine. Do not be terrified. The Buddhists teach us to accept what is beyond our control, which includes letting go of relationships that no longer serve us or correspond with our growth. This does not have to be overly dramatic. It simply requires being deliberate with your energy and attention. Another important feature of a great team is diversity. Not only do they differ in origins or experiences, but also in viewpoints and ideals. Surrounding yourself with people who hold opposing viewpoints might help you to question your preconceptions and extend your perspective. This diversity of view encourages creativity and invention, propelling you and your team to new heights. Remember that teamwork requires both sides to contribute. Just as you expect support and encouragement, you should provide it in return. Be a dependable teammate, an attentive listener, and a source of inspiration. A wise monk believed that we are not separate individuals, but rather pieces of a larger whole, and our actions should reflect this interconnectivity. If you found this video useful, check out one of the suggested videos on your screen to continue your path of growth and discovery. Your support is invaluable, and together we will continue to live and grow with purpose. See you next time. Have you ever felt trapped by feelings related to someone who is no longer in your life? Or worse, someone who didn't care as much as you did? It's like carrying a weight that just becomes heavier over time. What if I told you there is a way to let go? Not by becoming cold or apathetic, but by discovering clarity, tranquility, and strength within you. The Buddhists felt that clinging to emotions was equivalent to clutching onto a burning flame. The harder your grip, the worse it hurts. Today, I'll give you 5 important Buddhist precepts to help you emotionally detach. Not stop caring, but care wisely. Imagine living with the freedom to let go of emotional baggage, focusing just on what you can control, and gracefully accepting life's changes. That is the point of this video, and believe me when I say that Rule the 5th of may forever change the way you see relationships. If this resonates with you, stick with me until the finish. You'll learn not only practical methods for dealing with life's emotional storms, but also how to develop an unbreakable inner fortress of strength and resilience. Let us begin with Buddhism's first rule: embrace impermanence. It's a simple truth that we all understand yet often reject. Everything in life is temporary. People come and go, circumstances change, and even the most enduring relationships adapt. Buddha, one of history's greatest Buddhist philosophers, stated that loss is nothing more than change, and change is nature's delight. Think about it. How many times have you clung to something or someone only to realize that the tighter you grip, the faster it slides away? It's like trying to grasp sand on the beach. The more we oppose change, the more suffering we cause ourselves. I recall a friendship I'd had for almost a decade. We revealed everything. Our dreams, our worries, and those late-night serious chats. However, as time passed, our priorities moved, and the emotional connection we had shared began to disappear. I initially fought it. I tried to revive our relationship by reaching out more and making an extra effort, but it seemed like clinging to something that no longer fit. I discovered calm only after accepting the relationship's impermanence. The friendship had served its function in that stage of my life, and it was time to let it go. This was not about giving up. It was about valuing what we had and acknowledging that all relationships are fleeting. This is an easy practice for you. Take a moment to focus on a changing relationship or situation in your life. Instead of opposing it, write 3 things you're grateful for about it, followed by this: I let go with calm understanding that it is part of life's natural flow. When we realize that nothing lasts forever, we are free to truly enjoy the moment. This brings us to the next Buddhist rule: controlling your emotions via reasonable thought. Emotions can seem overwhelming, don't they? Sadness, anger, and frustration seem to appear out of nowhere and take over. But here's the deal. Buddhism tells us that emotions are not real. They're the result of our thinking, how we interpret the events around us. Imagine this. You convey a genuine message to someone you care about. Hours pass and there is no response. What is your initial thought? Many of us wonder if we said something incorrect. Are they furious with me? Then follow the feelings: anxiety, irritation, and even fury. But what's actually going on here? Buddha tells us that you have influence over your thinking, not external events. Realize this and you will gain strength. The truth is, a lack of response means nothing until you give it significance. What if the person is simply busy or their phone died? By questioning your first reaction, you regain control of your emotions. I have been there myself. I once texted a good buddy during a difficult period, pouring out my emotions. When hours passed without a response, my mind spiraled. Did I insult anyone? Do they actually care? By the end of the day, I had convinced myself that our friendship had ended. The following day, my friend contacted, entirely oblivious of my inner turmoil. They had just finished a busy day. It was a sobering experience that reminded me of Buddha wisdom. The soul is dyed with the hue of its ideas. Here's an activity to try if your emotions become overwhelming. Pause and ask yourself 3 questions. What are the facts? What story do I tell myself? What's a more balanced viewpoint? Write down your answers. You'll be astonished at how much clarity this provides. Mastering your emotions entails understanding them rather than denying them. Once you have this clarity, you may move on to the following rule. Practice negative visualization. This could seem unusual at first. Why would anyone want to think about losing something or someone they love? Negative imagery, however, is one of Buddhism's most potent techniques. It is not about being pessimistic. It's about getting your mind ready for life's inevitable adjustments. Consider a loved one going away or a relationship changing. Avoid dwelling on loss by picturing your life without them. However, in order to enjoy their presence even more, Buddha deprives contemporary afflictions of their potency. Who knew they were coming? I recall when my best friend initially told me they were moving overseas. The notion of losing their daily presence was painful, yet instead of protesting, I accepted it. I pictured life without them, how I would adjust, and how I would still value our connection from a distance. When the relocation eventually occurred, it was not simple, but I was prepared and I enjoyed every time we had together before they departed. This is your next practice. Every day, jot down 1 item you are grateful for, then imagine life without it. This is not about instilling terror. It's about developing a deeper appreciation for the now. Negative visualization builds resilience and encourages you to appreciate what you have. Speaking of resilience, our second rule is to focus on what you can manage. Now that we've accepted impermanence, rationalized our emotions, and practiced negative imagery, it's time to apply the 4th Buddhist rule. Focus on what you can control. This is one of Buddhism's most liberating and, in my opinion, transforming ideas. How much of your stress comes from attempting to control situations that are entirely beyond your control? Whether it's someone's perception of you, the end of a relationship, or just the weather, we frequently tire ourselves attempting to handle the unmanageable. The Buddhists advise us to concentrate on what is genuinely under our control, our ideas, behaviors, and reactions. The rest is beyond our control. As Buddha said, do the best you can with what you have and take the rest as it comes. It's a basic but effective notion. I once had a relationship in which I was continually overcompensating. I scheduled meaningful dates, sent genuine notes, and attempted to anticipate their needs. But no matter what I did, it felt like I was constantly chasing something that was just out of grasp. I eventually understood I was focusing all of my attention on something I couldn't control. The other person's emotions. I could control how I responded. I resolved to concentrate on my own development and self-worth rather than continually seeking approval from others. That change was life-altering. Here's an easy practice to attempt. Draw a circle and divide it into 2 sections. On one side, write down everything you can control, your thoughts, deeds, and effort. On the other side, make a list of what you can't control, other people's perspectives, results, or external occurrences. When you're feeling overloaded, glance at this circle and ask yourself, am I focused on the correct things? This technique allows you to redirect your energy toward what is truly important, your personal progress and peace of mind. The final rule is one of the most significant, focusing on the big picture. It's easy to lose perspective when we're overwhelmed by the emotions of a breakup, dispute, or loss. The Buddhists advise us to step back and recognize life's obstacles for what they are, moments that are fleeting in the big scheme of time. Buddha frequently mused on the impermanence of human issues, writing, Time is like a river of passing events, and its current is strong. No sooner is anything brought to light than it is swept away, and another takes its place. This greater perspective allows us to separate from the current suffering and recognize that life goes on. I'll never forget how painful it was to lose someone I cared greatly about. At the time, I felt as if my world had stopped. But as I reflected, I understood something significant. This person, while essential, was only one chapter in my story. Their impact on my life was significant, but it did not define me. Reflecting on the wider picture, I realized that life had so much more to give. I was not trapped in that time of loss. As a result, I was able to carry the lessons and memories forward without feeling burdened down by the suffering. If you're feeling overwhelmed by a circumstance, ask yourself this: will this matter in 5 years? Consider how prior obstacles you believed were insurmountable gradually faded into the background. This viewpoint allows you to recognize that even your current difficulties are transient. Remember that life is more than just one person, relationship, or event. When you take a step back, you will discover the strength to continue pushing forward. So let's go over the 5 rules again. Accept impermanence. Control your emotions with rational thought. Practice negative visualization. Concentrate on what you can control. Consider the wider picture. Each of these concepts reinforces the others, developing a framework for emotional freedom. Buddhism is not about isolating oneself from the outside world. It's about approaching life in a way that promotes clarity, tranquility, and resilience. It is about constructing an inner fortress, strong, unshakable, and prepared to confront anything. If this film touched you, I'd love to hear your opinions. Which of these rules are you excited to put into practice? Please share your story in the comments. I might even include it in a future video. And if you found this useful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use some Buddhist wisdom today. Remember that life will always present obstacles, but with Buddhism as your guide, you can confront them with power and grace. Stay strong and Buddhist. Now that we've covered the 5 Buddhist norms, let's look at how you may use them in your daily life. Buddhism is more than simply high theory. It is also about practical practices that may help you live your life with clarity and purpose every day. Morning reflection is one of the most effective ways to start the day. Buddha frequently began his day by reminding himself of the difficulties he may face, writing, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself that the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." At first impression, this seems bleak, doesn't it? But it's actually liberating. This exercise equips your mind to confront each day with acceptance and resilience. Instead of being surprised by challenges, you address them calmly and clearly. Here's a practice you can do. Every morning, write down 3 potential challenges you may face. It could be a challenging conversation, a hard chore, or simply feeling tired. Then describe how you plan to respond, not with frustration, but with knowledge. This one act can change your outlook for the rest of the day. Take a break in the middle of the day when life becomes stressful. The Buddhist thought that taking a step back from the chaos allows you to view things for what they really are. Buddha referred to this as the ability of retreating into yourself. When was the last time you allowed yourself to simply halt, breathe, let go of the noise, and reconnect with your inner self? This simple habit can help you stay in the present moment. Here's how to include this into your daily routine. Set a reminder on your phone to pause for only 2 minutes. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and ask yourself, what is under my control right now? Buddha recommended that every night before going to bed, we should ask ourselves, what weakness did I overcome today? This small habit may dramatically reset your viewpoint. Buddhists didn't simply prepare for the day, they also finished it with contemplation. Before going to bed, take 5 minutes to write down 2 things. What you did well today, such as staying calm during a stressful moment or being kind to someone, and where you can improve. Reflection is a practice of self-compassion and personal growth, not self-judgment. Let's talk about how to apply Buddhism to real-life challenges, such as navigating a strained relationship, managing stress at work, or dealing with the emotional weight of life's transitions. Then write one thing you could have done differently, not to dwell on it, but to learn from it. This daily habit will help you grow into the best version of yourself. When it comes to relationships, one of the most challenging things is to recognize what is under your control. You can't make someone esteem you, love you, or treat you the way you deserve, but you can choose how you respond. In a problematic relationship, ask yourself if you're attempting to control the other person. Instead of focusing on the chaos around you, focus on what you can control: your effort, attitude, and response. Remember Buddha advice: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Letting go of the need for control allows you to focus on your own peace and well-being. Workplace stress is another area where Buddhism shines. When you shift your focus to what's actionable, stress loses its grip on you. Whether it's losing a loved one, transitioning to a new phase of life, or saying goodbye to a relationship, Buddhism reminds us that change is unavoidable. Negative visualization prepares us for these moments, and reflection helps us find meaning in them. Buddhism is not about suppressing your emotions or shutting yourself off from the world. Rather, it is about living with intention, clarity, and resilience, finding strength in the face of life's challenges, and learning to let go of what no longer serves you. Ask yourself, what lesson can I take from this experience? By finding meaning, you can transform pain into growth. Now it's your turn. Which Buddhist practice will you try today? Will it be morning reflection, letting go of control, or journaling your evening thoughts? Please share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how Buddhism is shaping your life. Don't forget to subscribe for more Buddhist wisdom and practical insights. We'll build an inner fortress strong enough to weather any storm. Stay strong and stay Buddhist. Let's take a moment to revisit one of Buddhism's simplest but most profound truths: the power of starting small. It's easy to believe that personal growth requires drastic, life-changing actions, but the greatest transformations often come from small, consistent practices that you can incorporate into your daily routine. Consider how many days you've wasted due to distractions or stress. What if you could reclaim those moments by setting a clear intention each day? Buddha, one of the most disciplined Buddhists, used his journal to reflect and prepare for each day, writing, "You could leave life right now." Every morning, take a few moments to write one or two intentions for your day, whether it's to stay calm during a stressful meeting or to choose gratitude when things don't go your way. Allow that to influence everything you do, say, and think. It may sound harsh, but it's actually a reminder to focus on what truly matters. It's not about being perfect. It's about making a conscious effort. Begin your day with this intention: today, I will approach challenges with patience. When the kids are late or the coffee spills, take a deep breath and remember your goal. Life doesn't always go as planned, does it? The Buddhists remind us that setbacks are unavoidable. But here's the key: they're not failures, they're lessons. According to Buddha, the impediment to action advances action. What's standing in the way? This means that every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective can transform even the most difficult days. Whenever you face a setback, take a moment to write about it. Ask yourself 3 questions. What happened? The Buddhists believe that true happiness comes from appreciating the simple things in life, not from material wealth or external success. This practice helps you turn obstacles into stepping stones for growth. According to Buddha, true happiness is to enjoy the present without worrying about the future. When was the last time you truly savored a quiet moment? It's easy to get caught up in chasing the next big thing, but Buddhism teaches us to slow down and find contentment in what's already here. Here's a practice to bring more joy into your day. Take a 10-minute gratitude walk, looking around and noting 3 things you're grateful for. The Buddhists remind us that we can't control how others act, but we can control how we respond to them. This can be as simple as noticing the fresh air or the sound of laughter. Relationships can be a source of both joy and pain, and the Buddhists remind us that we can approach conflicts with compassion and let go of the need to always be right. A wise monk once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The next time you're in a conflict, pause and ask yourself, am I really listening, or am I just waiting to respond? Choosing empathy over ego strengthens your connections. Before responding in a difficult conversation, pause and take a deep breath. Whether it's retiring, moving to a new city, or watching your children leave the nest, life's transitions can feel overwhelming, but Buddhism reminds us that change is not the enemy. Ask yourself, what's the other person really trying to say? This simple habit can transform how you approach conflicts. It's a natural part of life. As Buddha said, observe constantly that all things take place by change. Instead of resisting change, embrace it as an opportunity for growth. Ask yourself, what new possibilities does this change bring? When facing a major transition, write a letter to your future self. Buddhism isn't about shutting down your emotions or ignoring life's challenges. It's about finding the strength to live intentionally with clarity and purpose. Write about the lessons you'll learn in this practice, which will shift your focus from fear to anticipation. As we near the end of this journey, let us take a moment to reflect on why these Buddhist principles are so important. Each small practice, whether it's journaling, pausing to breathe, or appreciating the moment, strengthens your resilience and shapes your inner fortress. Remember that the power to live well is already within you. All you have to do is take the first step. Buddhism provides us with the tools to navigate life's ups and downs with strength, clarity, and grace. Let's take a look at the 5 rules again and see how they work together to create a comprehensive framework for emotional freedom. These aren't just abstract concepts, they're practices that you can apply in your daily life. Life is full of transitions. Children grow up, loved ones leave, and circumstances change. Rather than clinging to what was, the Buddhists teach us to embrace impermanence. This does not mean ignoring the pain of loss, but rather accepting that change is part of life's natural flow. Remember that letting go does not imply ceasing to care. Every day, take a moment to reflect on something that has changed in your life. Instead of mourning what has passed, write down one thing you are grateful for about that experience. Gratitude transforms loss into appreciation. When you're feeling overwhelmed, pause and ask yourself, what story am I telling myself? As Buddha once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events, and recognizing this will help you find strength. Are my thoughts fueling my emotions, or can I shift my perspective? By challenging your initial reaction, you create space for rational, empowered choices. Try this exercise. The next time you're upset, write down the facts of the situation, along with any assumptions or interpretations you've made. This simple act of separating fact from emotion can help you see things more clearly. Negative visualization isn't about dwelling on loss. It's about mentally preparing yourself for life's inevitable changes. According to Buddha, the spirit should be preparing itself for difficult times when it is secure. Each week, spend 5 minutes reflecting on something you deeply value. This practice helps you build resilience and appreciate what you have by imagining life without something or someone you cherish. It also deepens your gratitude for the present and strengthens your ability to adapt if that loss occurs. A wise monk advises us to make the most of what we can control and let go of what we can't. Imagine your life without it, and then write down 3 reasons why you're glad you have it now. When you let go of the need to control others' opinions, actions, or feelings, you free yourself to focus on your own growth. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It simply means you stop wasting energy on things beyond your control. Here's a simple exercise. Each morning, write down one thing you'll focus on that is under your control, and one thing you'll consciously let go of. Buddha often reminded himself that our troubles are fleeting in the grand scheme of time, describing time as a river of passing events. When life becomes overwhelming, the Buddhists encourage us to take a step back and consider the bigger picture. Reflecting on the bigger picture allows you to see challenges as part of a larger journey. Life isn't defined by one moment. It's a tapestry of experiences, each contributing to your growth. When you're feeling stuck, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Write down your answer and see how your perspective shifts. These 5 Buddhist rules work together to create an inner fortress of strength, clarity, and peace that no external event can shake. It's not about becoming emotionless or detached, but about living with intention and resilience, no matter what life throws at you. Which rule resonated with you the most? Is it embracing impermanence, focusing on what you can control, or perhaps practicing gratitude through negative visualization? Let me know in the comments, and I'd love to hear your story. If you found this video helpful, please like it, share it with someone who could use a little Buddhist wisdom, and subscribe for weekly content to help you live with strength and clarity. By now you've seen how the principles of Buddhism, embracing impermanence, mastering your emotions, visualizing challenges, focusing on what you can control, and reflecting on the big picture create a powerful framework for emotional resilience. But how do you make these practices a part of your daily life? That's what we'll look at next. Routines ground us and help us stay consistent, even when life gets chaotic. A daily Buddhist routine doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to align with your values and goals. Mornings are a blank slate, a chance to set the tone for the rest of your day. Writing a daily intention inspired by Buddha journaling helps you focus on your intentions before distractions take over. It doesn't guarantee a perfect day, but it does provide you with a guiding principle to return to when things get tough. Here's a simple way to begin. Write down 2 things: what you can control today and the virtue you'll focus on, such as patience, gratitude, or courage, and let this guide your actions throughout the day. Midday is the ideal time to check in with yourself, which the Buddhists called retreating into the self. It's a moment to step back, breathe, and refocus. Set a reminder on your phone for a midday Buddhist pause. Take 3 deep breaths, revisit your morning intention, and let go of anything beyond your control. As a wise monk once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This midday pause is an opportunity to regain mastery over your mind. Ask yourself, am I still aligned with my intentions? What's within my control right now? Even a few moments of reflection can make a world of difference. Evenings are a time to reflect on your day, not with judgment, but with curiosity. The Buddhists believed that reflection is the key to growth, and Buddha suggested asking yourself questions like, what weakness did I overcome today? What virtue did I practice? Reflection helps you notice your progress and identify areas for improvement. It's not about being perfect, but about being intentional. Spend just 5 minutes each evening answering these 2 questions. What did I do well today, and what can I do better tomorrow? Over time, you'll see how these small reflections add up to big changes. Of course, Buddhism isn't just about calm mornings or reflective evenings. It's about how you deal with life's challenges. Whether you're dealing with a difficult relationship, workplace stress, or a major life transition, these principles can help you. One of the most difficult lessons in relationships is letting go of control. A wise monk reminds us that it's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it. Before jumping to conclusions or reacting out of frustration, pause and ask yourself, what's within my control in this moment? Often the answer is simply choosing to communicate with patience and compassion. In the workplace, stress and criticism are unavoidable, but Buddhism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our effort, attitude, and willingness to grow. The next time you're in a conflict, try this pause. Take a deep breath and truly listen before responding. This simple act can transform how you approach disagreements. As Buddha once said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Apply this to your work, act with integrity, and let go of outcomes beyond your control. When you stop taking criticism personally and see it as an opportunity for growth, stress loses its grip on you. Every day, write down 1 piece of feedback or challenge you faced at work, then reflect on how you can use it to grow. This mindset shifts your focus from defensiveness to empowerment, Transitions can be tough, whether it's a new job, a move, or a shift in your family dynamics. But the Buddhists remind us that change is the nature of life. Buddha wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change. Instead of resisting it, embrace it and change it." By shifting your focus, you can transform uncertainty into possibility. Write a letter to your future self about this transition, imagining yourself looking back with pride on how you navigated it and what lessons you've learned. Buddhism is not about being perfect or suppressing your emotions. Rather, it is about learning to navigate life's challenges with grace, resilience, and inner peace. Each small practice you adopt, whether it's a morning intention, a midday pause, or an evening reflection, contributes to the development of your inner fortress. So, which practice will you begin today? Let me know in the comments, and I'd love to hear how Buddhism is helping you build strength and clarity in your life. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more practical insights. Together, we'll continue to build an unshakable inner fortress. Stay strong and Buddhist. Every time doubt creeps in, remind yourself that you're becoming stronger and more resilient every day. And let's stay connected on this journey because the layers only get deeper from here. This mask of indifference won't last forever, and the truth will eventually seep through in ways they can't ignore. There's a lot more to discover, and we're just getting started. Now we enter a heavier stage, the weight of regret. At first, they try to brush it off, hide their feelings, but now your silence is hitting them like a wave they can't escape. They begin to see the emptiness, the void you left behind, and regret creeps in like a shadow they can't shake. It's no longer about pretending they don't care. It's about realizing that maybe, just maybe, they've made a mistake they can't undo. Imagine them replaying every memory, every opportunity to appreciate you, and every time they brushed you aside. It's like standing on a cliff, looking back at everything they took for granted. As the philosopher Buddha once said, every new beginning comes from a beginning's end. They are now haunted by their choices, and they realize with a sinking feeling that each careless action, each time they disrespected you, is costing them more than they expected. They are experiencing the end of their relationship with you. They won't say it out loud, and they'll never admit it to anyone, but they're feeling the sting of losing something real. Regret doesn't announce itself. It creeps in quietly, slowly, like a shadow following them everywhere they go, and the longer you stay silent, the stronger it grows. This isn't about missing you. It's about realizing that they had something valuable, something irreplaceable, and they let it slip through their fingers. Most people, when they reach this stage, try to push the regret away. They'll keep up their front and act indifferent, but inside they're feeling the weight of their actions. They're thinking about every chance they had to treat you better, to keep you close, to value you, and each memory hurts. This is their journey, not yours, and they are dealing with their pride, guilt, and the realization that they have lost control, and that their loss is more painful than they could have imagined. You may feel sympathy for them and want to reach out to them, let them know you understand, and ease their pain. Regret has its place, and sometimes people need to sit with it to fully understand the value of what they've lost. Stepping in now, even with good intentions, would only take away the weight of what they're going through. So take a deep breath and hold on to this affirmation. I am worth more than their regret, and I choose myself over anyone's temporary feelings. Say it out loud and let it sink in. You are not here to save them from the consequences of their actions. Their regret is theirs to bear, and your strength is yours to build. Stay with me on this path because we're only halfway there. Regret is powerful, but it's only the beginning of what they'll feel. Their journey doesn't end here, and as the regret deepens, they're forced to confront even more truths they can no longer avoid. Hold tight because there's still so much more to come, and the journey is far from over. And if you're still here, if you felt these words resonate with your own experience, please take a moment to let me know where you're at on this journey. Have you taken that leap into silence? Or are you still holding on, wrestling with doubts? Drop a "keep it up" in the comments if you're staying strong, because this journey is as much about building yourself as it is about them realizing what they've lost. Stay tuned because we're not done yet. The next phase is about facing the masks, the substitutes, and what happens when they try to fill the void you left behind. So let's keep going. Okay, let's keep moving deeper into this journey. So now they're feeling that weight of regret. But instead of facing it, instead of really sitting with that discomfort, they may try a shortcut. And what do? They start looking for someone new, hoping to fill the gap you left, to replace that presence with a quick fix. This stage can be difficult for you to witness, especially if they're flaunting it, as if you were just another chapter in their life. But don't be fooled. This isn't about moving on. It's about escaping. Imagine putting a bandage over a deep wound. They're not healing. They're covering it up, hoping that a new connection will numb the ache. They're looking for a distraction, anything to make them forget. But that's all it is, a distraction. The presence of someone else can't replace the presence they lost with you, and they know it deep down. They're using this person as a mask to avoid facing their own feelings, hoping that if they stay busy and move on, the emptiness you left won't catch up with them. This attempt to replace you is more of a coping mechanism than a real connection. They're trying to convince themselves, and perhaps even you, that they're fine, that they're happy, that they've moved on. But true connection isn't something you can swap out like an accessory. It's not about finding someone new to fill a void. When we lose something meaningful, our first instinct is often to find a substitute, something that fills the space without requiring us to change or grow. However, it's like trying to fit a puzzle piece that doesn't belong. It may look fine from a distance, but up close they can feel the emptiness it's covering up. This isn't about you. It's about their inability to sit with their own discomfort. They may go out more, post on social media, and show off their new connections as if they're living their best life. But keep in mind that they're hiding behind this show, hoping to convince themselves that they've moved on from you. But it's just a show, and the deeper truth is that you can't replace something real with something temporary. They're putting up a front to shield themselves from the sting of regret. But inside, they're struggling with the emptiness that new faces and temporary distractions can't cure. Seeing this, you might start to doubt your own worth. You may wonder if you meant anything at all, if it's so easy for them to replace you. But keep in mind that this isn't a reflection of you. It's a reflection of their fear. They're afraid of confronting the void you left behind. They're afraid of the silence. So instead of confronting it, they run to someone new, hoping that person can fill the space that only you once did. If you need an affirmation, keep this one close. I am irreplaceable. My value cannot be duplicated or substituted. Say it with conviction every time doubt creeps in. This journey is about uncovering the truth, and their actions right now reveal that they aren't ready to face it. Some people would rather cover their pain with a temporary fix than confront the true loss. They'll hide behind someone new, hoping the emptiness will fade, but it never does. If they don't come to this realization on their own, you'll know deep down that they were never capable of fully valuing you in the first place. So you hold on to that affirmation, reminding yourself that their actions don't define your value. If they're running to someone new, let that be their journey, their coping mechanism, their distraction. Because the truth of a real connection is that it can't be swapped out. And every time they try, every time they look to someone else to fill the gap, they're reminded of what they lost. It's like trying to cover a wound without allowing it to heal. And no matter how hard they try to ignore it, the ache of that emptiness will follow them. As philosopher Alain de Botton once said, people only become truly interesting when they start to rattle the bars of their cages. Instead of breaking free from the cage of their own denial, they're staying inside it, hoping that a new face will distract them from the truth. They're avoiding the discomfort, refusing to recognize the value of what they've lost. And that's their journey to take, not yours. Now we're entering a new phase, the unraveling. This is when things start to break down for them and reality begins to set in. They thought they could keep going as if nothing had changed, but without the stability you provided, without the constant reassurance of your presence, their world begins to crack. You weren't just someone who showed up. You were their anchor, their constant, the foundation they unknowingly relied on. Now that foundation is gone and the cracks are beginning to show. It's as if they're trying to hold water in their hands, but no matter how tightly they squeeze, it slips away. At this point, they may feel like they're holding things together, but beneath the surface, there's no water. It's all coming undone, and the distractions they're using to fill the void are starting to feel empty and meaningless. They're realizing that the world they created without you isn't as solid as they once believed. In the quiet moments, they begin to feel that emptiness even more. Their friendships may become hollow, or their daily routines may lose their meaning. There is a sense of restlessness and a lack of focus because they no longer have that sense of stability you brought into their lives. You grounded them, even if they never realized it. And now they're lost, floating, trying to find their footing without that anchor, and they're starting to feel the full weight of their choices. When they're forced to confront the mess they made, their world is beginning to crumble piece by piece, and there's no distraction strong enough to keep the emptiness at bay. At this point, it's easy to sympathize with them and feel compelled to step back in and help, to be that support once more. It's as if something is missing, and that something is you. But remember, this is their journey, and they need to experience this unraveling, this realization without you swooping in to save them. This is the only way they'll understand the full weight of what they've lost, and stepping in now would only take away the clarity they're beginning to gain. Hold on to this affirmation. I am the stability they lost, but my strength is my own. Remind yourself of this whenever you feel the urge to help them, to ease their pain. They must face this journey alone to experience the reality of their actions without the safety net you once provided. This is your time to grow, to stand tall, to become stronger than ever. We're getting closer to the heart of this journey, and the truth is about to reveal itself even more. There's still more to come as they continue to feel the weight of your absence, as their world continues to crumble, so hold on, because this isn't over yet. The true understanding, the full impact of what they lost awaits them. As they struggle in the silence, the final truths will begin to emerge, and their true feelings will come to the surface in ways they can't hide. Let's keep going, because this is where the silence becomes a force they can no longer ignore. They've tried to hide it, to run away from it, to distract themselves. But now their defenses are fading, and they're left in silence, which feels like a void, a hollow space that they can't fill. Consider this. They're alone with nothing but the echo of your absence, and it's becoming deafening. There's no escaping the ache, the awareness that they had something valuable, something irreplaceable, and they let it slip away. The connections they tried to make, the people they used as substitutes, the shows they put on to appear fine, none of it can touch the emptiness they feel right now. It's not the loud, dramatic kind of pain. They're struggling in a space where your presence once was. It's a quiet, relentless ache that only deepens with time, a constant reminder of what they've lost. At first, they thought they could just push past it, that it would fade. But each day without you brings them closer to a reality they can't ignore. Imagine them lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling with no messages on their phone, no comforting reminder of your care, and a sense of emptiness everywhere they look. It's in these quiet moments, these still pauses, that they feel it the most. When they're alone, without any distractions, the ache of your absence grows stronger. They may try to hide it and keep busy, but the silence follows them around, a constant reminder of what they let slip through their fingers. This is where you may feel tempted to reach out, to ask if they're okay, to ease their pain just a little. But remember, this silence is their journey, not yours. They need to fully feel this void to understand the weight of their choices without you stepping in. Saving them from this silence would only take away the lesson that they need to learn. If they truly cared and valued you, this silence would resonate with them. It's going to dig deep, stirring up feelings they tried to bury, feelings they can no longer ignore. If there was love there, real love, this void will push them to face it. They'll start to realize they've lost something they can't find in anyone else. But if they don't care, if they can make it through this silence unaffected, that clarity, that understanding is a gift to you. It demonstrates that they were never as invested as you were, and that freedom will allow you to move forward with full confidence. Hold on to this affirmation. My silence speaks of my strength and worth. Say it every time you feel tempted to reach out and fill that void for them. Your silence is not a weakness. After all of the masks, distractions, and attempts to fill the void, they've reached a point where they can no longer ignore the truth. It's a powerful decision to respect yourself enough to take a step back and allow them to confront the reality of what they've created. They have a choice. Confront what they've lost, accept responsibility, and grow, or remain in denial, allowing regret to weigh them down indefinitely. For some, this is where the pain becomes overwhelming. They spiral, weighed down by guilt, by the loss of something they now realize was irreplaceable. They begin to see that the regret, emptiness, and ache isn't going away. It's a permanent feeling, a constant reminder of what they let go, and every attempt to move past it only brings them back to the same realization. They lost something real, something they'll never find again. Others, on the other hand, may take a different path and see your absence as a wake-up call, a moment of clarity. Buddha words ring true when they realize they have a chance to confront what they have lost, to understand where they went wrong, and to become a better version of themselves. It's like coming to a fork in the road. They can either let the regret consume them or use it as a moment of growth. Your silence was their wake-up call, forcing them to choose between evolving or remaining stagnant. If they succeed, it's because they've allowed themselves to learn from their mistakes. If they fail, it's because they're unwilling to confront the truth of their own actions. And here's the beauty of this final stage. Whatever path they choose, you're no longer bound by it. You've done your part by stepping back and allowing them to face their own reality. Their journey, their growth, or lack thereof, is no longer your responsibility. You've given them the space to confront themselves, grow, or remain the same. But you've grown. You've reclaimed your strength, your worth, your independence. So for this final affirmation, take a deep breath and say, I am free now. You're entering a new chapter, one in which your value isn't dependent on someone else's recognition, and your strength isn't defined by anyone's acceptance. You've emerged from this journey with clarity, confidence, and a new understanding of your own worth. Whether they realize it or not, you've gained something far more valuable: self-esteem, strength, and independence. As you move forward, you're free to create a life that reflects your true worth. When we are hindered, disturbed, or grieved, we should never blame it on others, but rather on ourselves, that is, on our own perceptions of things. Thus, death is not a terrible thing. Otherwise, Socrates would have thought it was. It is the activity of an uninstructed person to reproach others for his own misfortunes, of one who enters into instruction to reproach himself, and of one who is properly informed not to reproach anyone or himself. They waste the day in anticipation of the night, and the night in fear of the dawn. He is a wise man who rejoices over what he has rather than laments what he lacks. If there are gods, but they are unjust, you should not worship them. If there are gods, but they are just, they will welcome you based on the virtues you have lived by. If there are no gods, you will have lived a noble life that will be remembered by your loved ones. To truly escape harassing situations, you need to be a different person, not just a different location. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, and does not wish for what he does not have. True happiness is to enjoy the present moment without worrying about the future, and to be content with what we have, which is enough. For what prevents us from saying that the happy life is to have a mind that is free, lofty, fearless, and steadfast, a mind that is placed beyond the reach of fear and desire, that counts virtue as the only good, baseness as the only evil, and all else as a worthless mass of things that come and go without increasing or diminishing the highest good, and neither subtracting nor adding to the happy life. A man thus anchored, whether he wishes it or not, must be accompanied by perpetual cheerfulness and the deep joy that comes from within, because he delights in his own resources and craves no joys bigger than his inner joys. When someone wrongs you, ask yourself why he did it. If you understand his concept of good and evil, you'll feel sorry for him and stop being surprised or angry. If his concept is similar to yours, you'll have to forgive him because you'd have done the same thing in similar situations. However, if you do not share his views on good and evil, You should be able to accept the wrongdoings of someone who is confused and morally unsure. Wealth is defined as having few wants rather than many goods. Don't only describe your ideology, embody it. First, tell yourself who you want to be, and then do what you need to do. If you allow yourself to be troubled by someone who has the ability to irritate you, that person becomes your master. Circumstances do not form a man. They only reveal him to himself. Don't try to control events. Instead, learn to accept things as they come, and everything will be okay. God has entrusted me with myself, and no man is free unless he is master of himself. A man should live in such a way that his pleasure depends as little as possible on external factors. Do you not know that a good man does nothing for the sake of appearance, but rather to have done the right thing? If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to others' opinions, you will never be wealthy. All brutality stems from weakness. Nothing, in my opinion, better demonstrates a well-organized mind than a man's capacity to stop right where he is and spend some time in his own company. A gift is defined by the giver's or doer's intention rather than the act itself. You behave as mortals in all that you fear, and as immortals in all that you desire. If a man does not know to which port he is sailing, no breeze is favorable. You live as if you were destined to live forever, with no regard for your frailty. You squander time as if you drew from an endless supply, oblivious to the fact that the day you bestow upon someone or something could be your last. The color of one's thoughts becomes dyed into the spirit. How much time does he save by not looking at what his neighbor says, does, or thinks, but rather at what he does himself to make things good and holy? Begin each day by telling yourself that you will be met with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of which are caused by the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil. For my part, I have long recognized the nature of good and its nobility, the nature of evil and its meanness, as well as the nature of the culprit himself, who is my brother, not in the physical sense, but as a fellow creature similarly endowed with reason and a share of the divine. None of those things can injure me. Nobody can implicate me in what is degrading, nor can I be angry with or fall foul of my brother, because he and I were born to work together, like a man's 2 hands, feet, eyelids, or upper and lower rows of teeth. To obstruct one another is against nature's law, because annoyance and dislike are both forms of obstruction. If someone informs you that a certain individual speaks negatively of you, do not make excuses, but instead respond, "He was unaware of my other flaws." Otherwise, he would not have highlighted them alone. Living in resentment and disdain for the world around us appears to do more harm than good. The world we live in, its past and present, its people, and the rise and fall of its cultures and practices are all the way they are, and they are not the way we personally want them to be. When we resist the reality of the world around us and instead project our expectations onto it, we are often met with a certain level of internal resentment. The Buddhist principle of Amorphati teaches us to love fate and all that it brings, and to accept that the world is what it is, not what we want it to be. The greater the gap between reality and our expectations, the greater the resistance which can lead to suffering. After all, fate has given us the ability to live and experience life. Unfortunately, Amorphati is frequently confused with a passive, defeatist acceptance of the world around us, to lie down and observe the passing of things we don't agree with, or the wrongdoing we see being committed. But I believe this is a misunderstanding of the Buddhist principle. Acceptance of reality does not imply submission to it, but rather the ability to see it objectively and accept that it is the state of the world at the moment. It is the ability to see things around us clearly, not through the lens of our own biases and expectations. By doing so, we gain a better understanding of the reality of the situations we find ourselves in, free from the lens of our own biases and expectations. This allows us to see what is within our control and what is not, and then use that control to effect positive change in ourselves and, if possible, the world around us. It is all too easy for us to pass judgment from our own perspective, But it is a very different thing to try and put yourself in the shoes of the wrongdoer and try to understand what hardships they have gone through, what burdens they may be carrying, or how life has treated them leading up to the moment which you found so offensive. Most individuals are attempting to do the best they can with what they have, and while we are all accountable for our actions, there is frequently a line to draw between a person's experience and their behavior. To me, one of the great ironies of life is a man's desire to find comfort, to remove all sources of hardship and suffering in favor of comfort when applied to our core needs such as food, shelter, security, and companionship. Comfort and stability make sense to me, but when it extends to every corner of our lives, comfort and the removal of all hardship appears to bring its own brand of hardship. Excessive comfort appears to risk the opposite of putting ourselves into the unknown, expanding our comfort zone, and learning to deal with the adversity that comes with it. It erodes our resilience to hardship and can breed purposelessness, apathy, sloth, and the host of limitations that come with a shrinking comfort circle. The ancient Buddhists advocated voluntary hardship, and Buddha chose to sleep on an uncomfortable bed. It appears to me that one of the lesser considered challenges of modern life is to strike a balance between the comfort that comes from meeting our basic needs and the voluntary hardship that is required to keep that comfort from softening our resolve. Buddha opted to swim in rivers in the dead of winter. Both men were well aware of the dangers of being overly comfortable and the benefits of adding discomfort to one's life. We often distance ourselves from death on a daily basis, believing that it is something that happens to others or to us in the distant future. However, death is an ever-present fact of life, and living with this as a reminder leads to a deep appreciation for many of the things we take for granted. The Buddhists practiced Memento Mori, or the practice of remembering death, by recognizing that whatever we are experiencing, whether it be the sound of leaves in the breeze, the companionship of those we love, or just the taste of fine food, could be one of the last times we have the opportunity to do so. The nature of life has changed from the very first shifts in the universe, when the most simple of elements gathered together to form clouds, and then solid bodies which began to form the very first ingredients for life. Those ingredients formed life, the circle of birth and death, until they eventually came together in the exact configuration needed to create you and me. Our lives, like the beginning, peak, and crashing end of a wave, are simply part of a larger cycle. We are formed, we experience, and we die, and with our death comes the opportunity to reconfigure our atoms, to allow others to come and go, and to enjoy the experience of life indefinitely. The nature of the universe has changed, from the very large to the very small. Small changes in one's habits, such as waking up a little earlier, getting out of the house a little more frequently, going for a run, reading that book that has been gathering dust, or trying to be more present in the company of the things and people we love, can often improve one's life more than achieving lofty goals or collecting expensive things. While significant accomplishments certainly contribute to it, habits formed over time, rather than brief bursts of joy, are frequently the paving stones to a better existence. It's important to strike a delicate balance between looking to the future and the past. The future is necessary for long-term planning and preparation for events that appear likely to occur. But if you look too far ahead, it's easy to let life pass you by and miss what you've spent so much time planning and preparing for. Similarly, the past can be used as a tool to learn, but looking back may mean that you missed the life into which you've taken all the lessons of the past. The future can be used to plan and prepare, but life only happens in the now. For the time being, I am still alive. It is in the very nature of a living thing to die, no matter how hard we try to avoid it. If I die tomorrow, I will die tomorrow. If I die a year from now or 20 years from now, I will meet death then. So I'll do what I can with the time I have. If the dead cannot be brought back to life, no matter how hard we beat our breasts, if fate can be overcome by tears, let us bring tears to bear on it. Let us spend every day in mourning, every night in sorrow instead of sleep, and let your breasts be torn by your own hands. Let us then steer our own course, and no longer allow ourselves to be driven to leeward by the force of our misfortune. He is a sorry pilot who lets the waves wring his rudder from his grasp, who allows the sails to fly loose and abandons the ship to the storm. But he who bravely grasps the helm and clings to it until the sea closes over him deserves praise. Nothing, in my opinion, better demonstrates a well-organized mind than a man's capacity to stop right where he is and spend some time in his own company. The ability to choose one idea over another is our most powerful stress reduction tool. I only speak when I am positive that what I am about to say is not better left unsaid. All Hellenistic schools appear to define wisdom in roughly the same terms, first and foremost as a state of perfect peace of mind. From this viewpoint, philosophy appears to be a remedy for human worries, anguish, and misery caused by social constraints and conventions for the cynics, the Epicureans by the quest for false pleasures, and the Buddhists by the pursuit of pleasure and egotistic self-interest. Whether or not they claim the Socratic heritage, all Hellenistic philosophers agreed with Socrates that human beings are plunged into misery, anguish, and evil because they exist in ignorance. Evil is found not within things, but in the value judgments that people bring to bear on them. People can only be treated of their diseases if they are persuaded to modify their value judgments. Hence, all of these ideologies aim to be therapeutic. Your greatest values are simplicity, patience, and compassion. By being simple in your acts and ideas, you return to the root of being. By being patient with both friends and adversaries, you accept reality. And by being compassionate with yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. Taoism is the art of being in the world because it deals with the present with ourselves. God meets nature in us, and yesterday separates from tomorrow. The present is the moving infinity, the legitimate sphere of the relative, and it seeks adjustment, which is art. The art of life is a constant readjustment to our surroundings. Be content with what you have and rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the entire world belongs to you. Allow your eyes to see what they see, not what others want you to see. Let your ears hear what they naturally hear, not what others want you to hear. Let your mouth speak freely without being constrained by other people's approval or disapproval. And let your mind think what it wants to think, rather than letting other people's demands dictate your thoughts. By allowing your senses and mind to do what they want to do naturally, you are denying them their rights. When you are unable to think, perceive, feel, or act freely, your body and mind suffer. By breaking these oppressions, you can grow life. Always be on the lookout for ways to turn a problem into an opportunity for success. Watering your dreams with worry and fear will produce weeds that choke the life out of them, whereas watering them with optimism and solutions will cultivate success. A strong person understands when to use strength and when to submit, and the ability to know when and how to yield can mean the difference between good fortune and tragedy. Strength should always be combined with tenderness, because too much resistance can shatter you. Those who do not know how to endure are the worst off. There are times when the only thing we can do is bear our difficulties till a better day arise. To tackle an issue, you must address the root cause rather than the symptoms. The crown is knowing and thinking we don't know. The affliction is not knowing and thinking we do. Knowing others is intelligence. Understanding yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. And mastering oneself is true power. If a branch is overly rigid, it will break. Resist and you will perish. Learn to yield and you will survive. Only those who have no use for the empire should be trusted with it. You have the solution within you. You know who you are and what you desire. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Resisting them only leads to sadness. Instead, let reality be reality and allow things to flow freely in whatever direction they want. Kindness in speech inspires confidence. Kindness in thought inspires profundity, and kindness in giving inspires love. A person with a mind is bound to be loaded with concepts which prohibit him from knowing things directly, hence he will never truly know. Explaining Zen is like catching wind in a box. Closing the lid causes the breeze to become stagnant air over time. A good traveler has no set plans and does not intend to arrive. Everyone will respect you when you are content to be yourself without comparing or competing. The fact is that persons who do not see themselves but see others, who do not grasp themselves but grab others, take possession of what others have but do not possess themselves. They are drawn to what others enjoy but cannot find happiness in themselves. If you play a game where scrap pieces of glass are at stake, you'll play skillfully. If your expensive belt buckle is at stake, you'll start to get clumsy, and if your money is at stake, you'll fumble. It's not that you've lost your skill. It's that you're too stressed out by what's going on outside. You have lost your inner peace, your quiet, and you will fail in whatever you try. A guy with outer courage is willing to die, whereas a man with inner courage chooses to live. A man like this will not go where he has no will to go, and will not do what he has no mind to do. Even if the world praises him and says he has really found something, he will look unconcerned and never turn his head. Even if the world condemns him and says he has lost something, he will look calm and pay no attention. He is unaffected by the world's praise or censure. When forced by tragedy and danger, things that were formerly linked by profit will be separated. Thoroughbreds like Kiji or Huali could gallop 1,000 lion a day, but when it came to catching rats, they were no match for the wildcat or the weasel. A beam or pillar can be used to batter down a city wall, but it is useless for plugging a small hole. The horned owl catches fleas at night and can spot the tip of a hair, but when daylight comes, it cannot see a mound or a hill, indicating a difference in nature. Do you intend to make right your master and do away with wrong, or order your master and do away with disorder? If you do, you don't understand the concept of heaven and earth, or the nature of the 10,000 things. It's like saying you're going to make heaven your master and do away with earth, or make yin your master and do away with yang, which is clearly impossible. We may be floating on Tao, but there's nothing wrong with steering. If Tao is like a river, knowing where the rocks are is definitely beneficial. Great power is concern, and ultimate power is weariness, to the point where even God renounces it and pretends to be humans, fish, insects, and plants, the tale of the king who wanders among his subjects in disguise. Travel is a wonderful experience, especially when you forget you're traveling. Those who look into themselves while traveling will not think about what they see, and there is no distinction between the viewer and the scene. You experience everything with the totality of yourself, so that every blade of grass, every mountain, every lake is alive and a part of you. This is the ultimate trip experience. To gain knowledge, add things every day. To gain wisdom, subtract things every day. The blank canvas stares back at you, the cursor blinks on an empty screen, and the guitar sits untouched in the corner of the room. You want to create something extraordinary, something that will inspire or move others, but doubt whispers in your ear. What if it's not good enough? What if I can't even start? These moments of creative struggle are all too familiar, even to the most talented and experienced creators. Imagine a painter overwhelmed by the sheer possibilities of the first stroke, a writer paralyzed by fear of criticism, or a musician weighed down by the pressure to outperform their previous work. Creativity, while beautiful, can often feel like a battle, with the greatest challenge lying not in the work itself, but within the mind. But what if you could approach creativity differently? What if, instead of fighting doubt and frustration, you could harness the power of ancient wisdom to find clarity, focus, and freedom in the creative process? This is where Buddhism, a philosophy rooted in virtue, reason, and resilience, can transform how you think about creating. Whether you're a writer, artist, entrepreneur, or simply someone seeking to think more innovatively, these timeless principles will guide you through the obstacles of self-doubt, perfectionism, and fear. Here are 10 Buddhist secrets that can help unleash your creative genius. The blank page can be intimidating. Doubts creep in, whispering that your work won't measure up. Frustration builds when progress is slow, or when the end result doesn't match your vision. And there's the constant fear of failure, of putting yourself out there only to face criticism or rejection. Whether you're a painter struggling to bring a concept to life, a writer grappling with an elusive plot, or an entrepreneur stuck in a loop of indecision, the battle is often not with the work itself, but with the mind. These challenges can feel like insurmountable walls. David Hume, a philosopher of a different era, famously said, "A wise man proportions his belief to the evidence." However, in moments of creative struggle, the evidence often skews towards self-doubt. What if I'm not good enough? What if no one cares? This mental chatter clouds judgment and stifles the flow of ideas. Buddha once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, which you have the power to revoke at any time." In other words, creative blocks are frequently self-imposed. Recognizing that self-doubt, frustration, and fear are all normal aspects of the creative process is the first step toward overcoming them. Fear of failure, frustration with slow progress, and the desire for perfection are all mental constructs rather than realities. To combat this, adopt the Buddhist principle of focusing on what you can control. You can't guarantee that your work will be a masterpiece, but you can control the act of beginning. Buddha advised, do every act of your life as if it were the last act of your life. Begin small, take one step, and let the momentum build. As Buddha once said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body, so don't be discouraged if your ideas don't always come out perfectly on the page, stage, or screen. Buddha said, "He who is not thrown by setbacks will endure, but he who fears them is already defeated." Fear of failure is often the voice that says, "Don't bother, it's not worth the risk." However, the Buddhists teach that failure is a necessary step on the path to mastery. By identifying and reframing the mental barriers you face as opportunities for growth, you can transform the creative struggle into a powerful source of inspiration. Creativity isn't about perfection, it's about perseverance. Ask yourself, what's holding you back right now? Is it fear, frustration, or doubt? How can I take one small step to progress? Buddhism, with its emphasis on reason, resilience, and clarity, becomes a powerful tool for creators. The philosophy offers timeless wisdom to help you navigate creative challenges and find balance amidst the unpredictability of the process. Buddhism's core is about living in harmony with virtue, reason, and nature. As Buddha once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. For a creative, this means aligning your work with your values, taking on challenges with a clear mind, and focusing on what you can control. It's not about controlling outcomes or ensuring that every project succeeds. A wise monk advised, don't let the force of an impression when it first hits you knock you off your feet. One of the most important lessons Buddhism teaches creatives is emotional control, as emotions like fear, self-doubt, and frustration can derail your progress if left unchecked. It's about showing up, doing the work, and letting go of what you can't control. Instead of allowing frustration over a stalled idea or fear of failure to consume you, take a step back, observe the emotion, and choose a thoughtful response. Simply say to it, hold on a moment. Let me see who you are and what you represent. Let me put you to the test. This practice of evaluating your emotions is invaluable in the creative process. Buddhism also emphasizes focusing on what is within your power, which can transform how you approach creativity. As a creator, you can't control how your work will be received or whether it will succeed commercially, but you can control how much effort you put into your craft, how much time you devote to honing your skills, and how consistently you show up. Directing your energy toward these controllable aspects frees you from the anxiety of external validation and allows you to focus on what truly matters, the process. Another Buddhist principle, Memento Mori, remember that you will die, may appear morbid at first glance, but it is a powerful motivator for creatives. The idea isn't to dwell on death, but to use it as a reminder to prioritize what's important. As Buddha reflected, you could leave life right now, so let that determine what you do, say, and think. For creators, this means making the most of your time and using your talents to produce meaningful work rather than procrastinating or becoming bogged down by perfection. Buddha's words, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials," remind us that the path of creativity is rarely smooth, with rejections, failures, and moments when inspiration seems out of reach. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of mindfulness and being fully present in the moment. Instead of fearing failure, embrace it as a necessary step on the path to mastery. Every setback is an opportunity to improve your craft and grow stronger. The Buddhists believed in giving undivided attention to the task at hand. Buddha wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions." This principle encourages you to approach creative work with intention and discipline, allowing ideas to flow naturally. Ask yourself, how can I apply Buddhist principles to my creative process? What emotions or outside factors am I allowing to distract me from my work? By incorporating Buddhist wisdom into your approach to creativity, you'll find greater clarity, resilience, and focus. Creativity isn't about controlling everything. It's about mastering yourself in the process. When you align with these principles, you unlock the potential to create with purpose, passion, and freedom. 3. The connection between calm and creativity. When your thoughts are scattered, anxious, or distracted, your creative energy is stifled. Buddha wrote, "You can be happy if you know this." The Buddhists understood that tranquility isn't just a luxury. It's a requirement for clarity, focus, and meaningful action. For creatives, achieving inner calm can mean the difference between struggling with ideas and realizing your full creative potential. When you stop wasting energy on things you can't control, such as other people's opinions, external pressures, or even fleeting emotions, you free yourself to focus on what truly matters, your craft. This principle is the foundation of a calm mind. Anxiety, on the other hand, narrows your focus, causing you to fixate on fears or perceived limitations rather than solutions or opportunities. When your mind is calm, you can see ideas more clearly, make connections between them, and explore possibilities without the interference of stress or self-doubt. Mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in the moment, is one of the most effective Buddhist tools for cultivating calm. Creativity thrives when you're immersed in the process, whether you're sketching a design, brainstorming ideas, or refining a piece of writing. As Buddha once said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." Focusing on the task at hand and letting go of distractions allows your mind to enter a state of flow where ideas come naturally and effortlessly. Another Buddhist practice that promotes calm is reframing challenges. When confronted with a creative block or frustrating setback, it's easy to let stress take over. Instead, apply the Buddhist principle of Amorphati, or loving what happens. This doesn't mean you have to enjoy difficulties, but you can accept them as part of the process. As Buddha said, the impediment to action advances action. A creative block, for example, isn't the end of the road. It's an opportunity to explore a new approach or dig deeper into your work. Reducing external distractions is also key to fostering calm and creativity. In today's world, constant notifications, deadlines, and noise compete for your attention, so make a space for your creativity that minimizes these distractions. A wise monk said, "Keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern, and be clear that what belongs to others is their business and none of yours." This intentional separation from chaos allows your mind to settle and your ideas to flourish. Buddha wrote, "You have been put in charge of yourself. No one can harm you without your consent." Despite the fact that these are unavoidable aspects of the creative process, they frequently prevent people from sharing their work or taking risks. The Buddhists remind us that we can only control how we respond to others' judgments. Criticism isn't a reflection of your worth. It's simply someone else's perspective. Use it as a tool for growth and let go of the rest. The need to control outcomes is another obstacle in the creative process, according to the Buddhists. You might have a clear vision of how a project should turn out, only to be frustrated when the outcome doesn't meet your expectations. The Buddhist principle of Amorphati, or love of fate, teaches us to embrace outcomes, whether they align with our plans or not. As Buddha advised, receive without pride, let go without attachment. Creativity is an unpredictable process, and often unexpected results lead to new insights or directions. Accepting what unfolds keeps you open to possibility and innovation. To apply this principle, start by identifying what you can control in your creative process, such as your effort, consistency, and willingness to learn, and then let go of the rest. If you're working on a project, keep in mind that the outcome isn't entirely in your hands. Creating a mantra or affirmation that reinforces this thinking, such as, I focus on what I can do today, or I release what's beyond my control, can help you stay grounded in the face of doubt or irritation. Visualization is also a wonderful tool. Imagine yourself completing a project with full effort, regardless of the outcome, and imagine how you'll feel knowing you gave it your all. Even if the reception isn't what you hoped for, this exercise allows you to detach from the outcome and focus on the joy of creating. By shifting your focus from the final product to the process itself, you can create with greater freedom and satisfaction. Finally, celebrate progress over perfection. Every small step you take, whether it's drafting a new idea, experimenting with a technique, or finishing a project, is a victory. Ask yourself, am I clinging to factors I can't control, or am I focusing on what's within my control? By accepting this philosophy, you may manage the creative process with resilience, clarity, and a sense of calm. The Buddhists remind us that acceptance isn't about giving up. It's about diverting your focus to what's most important. Cultivating resilience through Buddhist philosophy. Resilience is the backbone of creativity, whether it's bouncing back from rejection, persevering through creative blocks, or finding the strength to keep going after a failure. Resilience allows you to face challenges without losing momentum. David Goggins defines resilience as the ability to stay in the fight, while the Buddhists define it as the practice of enduring hardship with grace and strength. Cultivating resilience for creatives entails viewing every setback as an opportunity to grow stronger. Obstacles in creative pursuits can be deeply personal and even discouraging, such as a manuscript rejected by publishers, an art piece that does not resonate, or a performance that receives criticism. Reframing failure is the first step toward cultivating resilience. The Buddhists teach that while we can't control external circumstances, we can control how we respond to them. As Buddha reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events, and realizing this will give you strength. According to a wise monk, difficulties are things that show a person what they are. Every rejection, every creative block, every misstep is a chance to learn something new about your craft or yourself. When you stop seeing failure as a verdict on your talent and start seeing it as a teacher, it loses its power to discourage you. Perseverance is another important aspect of resilience. As Buddha once said, to bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden. Resilience does not imply that you will not experience frustration or doubt, but rather that you will not let those feelings stop you. Let's be honest, life isn't always smooth sailing. We all have dreams, ambitions, and goals. But sooner or later, we hit a wall. Maybe it's self-doubt creeping in, an unexpected setback, or a lack of motivation. In those moments, questions start to surface. Am I really capable of achieving this? Do I have the strength to keep going? The truth is, the power to move forward is already within you, but it doesn't come from waiting for the right moment or relying on sheer willpower alone. It comes from discipline, from showing up every single day, even when you feel like quitting. It's about pushing past your limits, overcoming obstacles, and rising every time you fall. In this episode, we'll break down 10 powerful principles to help you push through, stay disciplined, and unlock your true potential, rooted in Buddhist wisdom and practical strategies. These aren't just motivational quotes. They're actionable steps you can start applying right now, no matter where you are in your journey. So let's dive in and start building the resilience you need to truly win in life. 1. Unlock your true potential. How often do you find yourself doubting your abilities? Maybe it's the thought of starting something new, or maybe you're in the middle of a project and wonder if you're really cut out for it. We look at the challenges ahead, the goals we want to achieve, and we start to question whether we have what it takes. It's like standing at the base of a mountain, looking up at the peak, and convincing yourself that you'll never make it. The higher you look, the more daunting it seems. But the truth is, you don't have to climb the entire mountain in one go. You just have to take the first step, then the next, and keep moving forward. Progress is made in small, consistent actions, not in grand leaps. The Buddhists knew this all too well. Buddha, one of the greatest Buddhist philosophers, wrote in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What he's telling us is that your potential is not limited by your circumstances, but by the way you choose to respond to them. The way you perceive challenges, obstacles, and setbacks can either fuel your growth or hold you back. The key to unlocking your true potential is in your ability to control your mindset. Self-doubt often comes from fear. The fear of failing, the fear of not being good enough, or the fear of rejection. But every time you give in to that fear, you let it define your limits. You stop yourself from even trying, and that's where the danger lies. By staying in your comfort zone, you never give yourself the chance to see just how much you're capable of. Imagine for a moment that you push past that fear. What would happen if you started believing that you could succeed, even if the road ahead seemed challenging? What if you decided to take action despite your doubts, to push through the uncertainty and give your best effort? That's when things begin to change. When you start taking those small steps, no matter how hard they seem at first, you'll start building momentum. Each step you take will strengthen your confidence, and the doubts will start to fade away. Think about someone you admire, a person who's accomplished something extraordinary. They didn't achieve it by being fearless or perfect. They achieved it by facing their fears and doubts head-on, by pushing through the uncertainty and continuing to move forward, one step at a time. You have the same potential inside you. All it takes is the courage to start and the discipline to keep going. Start today by identifying one area of your life where self-doubt has been holding you back. It could be a project you've been postponing or a goal you've been too afraid to pursue. Commit to taking just one small step toward that goal today. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be progress. With each step you take, you'll unlock more of your true potential. Your potential is limitless, but only if you choose to break through the barriers of self-doubt. It's time to stop holding yourself back. You've got what it takes. Now it's time to prove it to yourself. 2. Find your inner drive. It's easy to get excited at the beginning of a new project, a new goal, or a new year. The motivation is high and you feel unstoppable. But what happens when that excitement starts to fade? What happens when the initial thrill of starting something new wears off, and you're left with the day-to-day grind? The truth is, motivation alone isn't enough to keep you going. Motivation is a spark. It lights the fire, but it doesn't keep it burning. It fades, it wanes, and it disappears when challenges arise. What keeps you moving forward when motivation is no longer enough is discipline and purpose. These are the things that will keep you going, even when the road gets tough, and they are the foundation of true success. Think about the times in your life when you've achieved something significant. Were you motivated every single day? Probably not. In fact, there were probably days when you didn't feel like getting out of bed or facing the tasks ahead. But you did it anyway, right? You showed up, did the work, and kept going. That's the power of discipline. It's the ability to keep pushing forward, even when you don't feel like it. It's the act of doing what needs to be done, even when you don't have the motivation to do it. The Buddhists believed that true freedom and strength come from self-discipline. They understood that the path to greatness is not paved with easy wins or constant motivation, but with consistent effort and focus. Buddha in his meditations wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, obstacles are not to be avoided. They are to be used as fuel. When you find your purpose and align it with your actions, you become unstoppable. Finding your inner drive starts with understanding why you do what you do. What is your deeper purpose? What is the greater vision that drives you beyond the daily tasks and hurdles? When you connect with this purpose, you don't need to wait for motivation to strike. You can rely on your discipline and determination to keep you moving forward. Take a moment to think about your goals. What are you working toward and why does it matter to you? When you find that core reason, that deep motivation, you'll find that even on the tough days, you'll have the strength to keep going. You'll be able to tap into your inner drive and push through the challenges that come your way. One of the biggest obstacles to staying motivated is the feeling of being overwhelmed. When you focus only on the big picture and the end result, it can be easy to get discouraged. But here's a simple trick. Break it down. Focus on small, actionable steps. When you take one step at a time, the bigger goal doesn't seem so daunting. Each small win will keep you moving forward, and each step will bring you closer to your purpose. In moments of doubt, ask yourself, why did I start this? Reconnect with your purpose and let that inner drive propel you forward. Motivation will come and go, but purpose and discipline will keep you on track, no matter what. So the next time you feel your motivation slipping, remember that it's not about waiting for that burst of inspiration. It's about pushing through anyway, focusing on your discipline, and staying connected to your deeper purpose. Your inner drive is the key to achieving anything you set your mind to. Trust in that and let it guide you. 3. Break the fear barrier. Fear, it's something we all experience at some point in our lives. It can feel paralyzing, overwhelming, and all-consuming. Whether it's the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, or the fear of the unknown, it has a way of holding us back from reaching our true potential. 3. We avoid taking risks, shy away from challenges, and tell ourselves that we're not ready yet. But here's the thing, fear is the barrier between where you are now and where you want to be. The Buddhists were well aware of the power of fear. They didn't ignore it. They faced it head-on, using it as fuel for growth. Buddha, a prominent Buddhist philosopher, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Fear often stems from our imagination, what we think could happen, what we imagine others might say, or how we picture failure. But in reality, fear is often much worse in our minds than it is in reality. It's a mental construct that holds us back from taking action, from stepping into the unknown and discovering our true capabilities. So how do we overcome fear? The answer isn't to eliminate it completely. That's impossible. Fear will always be there, lurking in the background. The key is learning how to face it, how to use it as a tool for growth rather than letting it control you. The Buddhists believed in embracing adversity. They saw challenges as opportunities to build resilience and strength. In fact, they believed that the more we face our fears and overcome them, the stronger we become. The first step to breaking through the fear barrier is to acknowledge the fear. Don't try to push it away or pretend it doesn't exist. Fear is natural, and it's part of the human experience. When you feel fear, stop and ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Is it failure, rejection, the unknown? By identifying the source of your fear, you take away some of its power. You can start to see that it's not as intimidating as it seems. Once you've identified your fear, shift your perspective. Instead of seeing fear as a roadblock, start to view it as a signal that you're on the verge of growth, that you're pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. The things that scare us are often the very things that will lead to our greatest breakthroughs. By leaning into fear rather than avoiding it, you start to break down the barriers that are holding you back. Another key to overcoming fear is taking small, intentional actions. Fear thrives when we stay stagnant, when we don't take any action at all. But when we move forward, even in small steps, we start to gain confidence and diminish the power that fear holds over us. The Buddhists taught us that our actions are in our control, even if the outcome is uncertain. Each step you take, no matter how small, is a victory over the fear that's trying to hold you back. Think about the first time you did something that scared you. Maybe it was speaking in front of a crowd, starting a new project, or facing a difficult conversation. In the beginning, the fear felt overwhelming. But once you took that first step, the fear began to fade. You realized that the thing you feared wasn't as powerful as you had imagined. Step into it. Take that first step, even if it's small, and know that with each step you take, you're not just moving toward your goal, you're becoming the person you're meant to be. The person who doesn't let fear dictate their life. 4. Set clear, actionable goals. Have you ever set a big goal, full of excitement and energy, only to find that months later, you're still in the same place, feeling frustrated and stuck? We've all been there. The idea of achieving something great can be thrilling, but without clear, actionable goals, the excitement quickly fades into confusion and overwhelm. It's easy to get lost in the idea of success without knowing exactly how to get there. The problem is that without a clear plan, success remains a distant dream, not a tangible reality. The Buddhists understood this better than anyone. They didn't just set lofty ideals, they focused on what they could control and broke their larger goals down into smaller, actionable steps. They believed that without clear goals, we would drift aimlessly, constantly chasing after things that didn't align with our true purpose. The more specific your goals are, the clearer your path becomes. But setting goals isn't just about being specific. You need to make sure your goals are also actionable. It's not enough to write down a dream. You need to break it down into steps you can take on a daily or weekly basis. This is where many people fail. They set a big goal, but they don't map out the small necessary actions required to get there. The Buddhists believed in focusing on the process, not the outcome. They knew that success is built on small, consistent actions, not on hoping for big, dramatic changes overnight. Let's take an example. Imagine your goal is to write a book. That's a huge, daunting task, and it's easy to get overwhelmed by the enormity of it. But if you break it down, it suddenly becomes more manageable. Start by setting small, achievable milestones. Write 500 words a day or finish one chapter per week. The key is to set goals that are within your control and to make them as actionable as possible. If you focus only on the end result, it will seem too distant to achieve. But when you focus on the smaller steps, each one becomes a win and momentum starts to build. In the Buddhist tradition, this process is called virtue. Virtue isn't just about achieving a goal. It's about taking the right actions regardless of the outcome. HTTPS Buddha said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In other words, the way you approach your goals, your mindset, determines whether you will succeed. If you approach your goals with clarity, determination, and small, deliberate steps, you will make progress every single day. Another critical component of setting clear goals is measuring your progress. It's not enough to have a goal, track your results. Check in regularly to see how you're doing. This helps you stay focused and adjust your actions when needed. The Buddhists didn't just set goals, they constantly evaluated their actions and their progress. This self-reflection helped them improve and stay on course, no matter how difficult the journey became. Finally, it's important to remain flexible. Life rarely goes exactly as planned, and sometimes you'll encounter obstacles. The key is not to abandon your goals, but to adjust your plan when needed. Remember, the process is just as important as the outcome. The Buddhists believed in accepting what is outside of their control while focusing all their energy on what they could influence. When you set clear, actionable goals and commit to the process, you will succeed. You will have the resilience to face any challenges that come your way. So take some time today to define a clear, actionable goal. Break it down into small, manageable steps and commit to taking those steps every day. Start with what you can control and focus on the process rather than the outcome. With patience, consistency, and discipline, you'll find yourself moving closer to your dreams. 5. Develop a resilient mindset. It's easy to feel defeated when things don't go as planned. We all face setbacks, whether it's a failed project, a missed opportunity, or even personal challenges that seem to keep knocking us down. The key to overcoming these obstacles isn't just in the actions we take, but in the mindset we cultivate. A resilient mindset is what will allow you to rise every time you fall and keep moving forward, even when the road gets tough. Resilience isn't about avoiding failure, it's about how we handle it. It's the ability to look at failure not as a defeat, but as a valuable learning experience. The Buddhists understood this well. They didn't see adversity as something to be feared or avoided. They saw it as an essential part of life, something to be embraced and learned from. Buddha, one of the great Buddhist philosophers, said difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. This is a crucial mindset shift. Instead of seeing challenges as obstacles, the Buddhists taught us to view them as opportunities to grow, to build inner strength, and to develop resilience. Think about some of the most resilient people you know. These are the people who, despite facing tough times, continue to push forward. They don't let setbacks define them. Instead, they use failure as fuel to keep going. Resilience is about how you respond to the setbacks, not how you avoid them. It's about showing up every day, even when you feel like you've been beaten down. The first step to building a resilient mindset is to embrace challenges. The Buddhists didn't believe in seeking comfort. They believed in seeking growth. They knew that the greatest lessons in strength come from facing adversity head-on. So when you encounter a setback, instead of retreating or feeling defeated, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? The answer will give you the strength to keep moving forward. Failure isn't the end. It's a part of the process. It's simply a signal to adapt, adjust, and keep pushing forward. Another key to resilience is self-compassion. It's easy to be hard on yourself when things don't go as planned. We tend to focus on our failures, which can drain our energy and motivation. But instead of being self-critical, practice kindness toward yourself. Understand that mistakes are part of the human experience and that they don't define you. What defines you is how you respond to those mistakes, whether you choose to learn from them and grow or let them hold you back. Resilience also means staying grounded in your values. It's easy to get swept up in the chaos of life, to let the ups and downs dictate how we feel and how we act. But resilient people know who they are and what they stand for. They don't let the circumstances of life change their core beliefs or values. When things get tough, staying true to your values gives you the strength to keep moving forward. One way to build resilience is by creating routines that support your mental and emotional well-being. When life gets challenging, it's easy to feel like everything is out of control. But by establishing routines, you create a sense of stability, even when things around you are chaotic. Whether it's a morning meditation, a workout routine, or setting aside time for reflection, these small practices help to reinforce your inner strength and resilience. Finally, practice gratitude. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back from challenges. It's about finding strength in the midst of them. And one of the best ways to find that strength is by practicing gratitude. By focusing on what you have rather than what you've lost, you shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. You start to see the lessons in every setback, the growth in every challenge, and the opportunities in every failure. Building resilience is a lifelong journey. It's not something that happens overnight, but with practice and persistence, you can develop a mindset that allows you to overcome anything life throws your way. Remember, the Buddhists taught us that we can't control the external world, but we can control how we respond. And when we respond with resilience, we grow stronger, wiser, and more capable of achieving our goals. So the next time life presents a challenge, embrace it. Don't shy away from adversity. Use it to fuel your growth. Build your resilience every day, and you'll find that you can handle anything that comes your way. 6. Master your emotions and focus. Emotions are a powerful force. They can drive us to achieve great things, or they can derail our progress completely. How many times have you let frustration, anger, or stress cloud your judgment, leading to decisions that you later regretted? Or have you ever been so overwhelmed by emotions that you couldn't focus on what needed to be done? Mastering your emotions isn't about suppressing them or pretending they don't exist. It's about learning how to manage them so that they don't control your actions. It's about using emotional intelligence and focus to navigate life's challenges with strength and clarity. The Buddhists believed that emotions, while natural, should not control us. They didn't aim to eliminate emotion, but instead they focused on cultivating a calm, rational response to whatever life threw at them. They understood that it wasn't the events themselves that disturbed us, but how we reacted to them. As a wise monk said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This wisdom is at the heart of emotional mastery. If you want to live a life of purpose and progress, you must first gain control over your emotions. When we talk about mastering emotions, we're also talking about focus. Emotions can be a massive distraction. They can pull you in 100 different directions and cloud your ability to think clearly or stay on task. But with emotional mastery, you can separate the feeling from the action. You can acknowledge the emotion without letting it dictate your behavior. The Buddhists often practiced mindful detachment, observing their emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. Let's take an example. Imagine you're working on an important project and you receive a critical comment from a colleague or a friend. Immediately, a wave of anger or frustration may rise within you. You might feel the urge to react, defend yourself, argue back, or shut down. But what would happen if, instead of reacting impulsively, you took a moment to pause and reflect? What if you acknowledged the emotion and then chose to respond thoughtfully, maintaining control over your actions and words? This is emotional mastery in action. Recognizing the emotion, but choosing to act based on your long-term goals, not in reaction to your temporary feelings. One way to master your emotions is by practicing mindfulness. The Buddhists weren't familiar with modern mindfulness techniques, but their practices were based on the same idea, awareness and presence. Buddha wrote in his meditations, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if thou wilt ever dig." This means being aware of your thoughts, emotions, and actions in real time. It means checking in with yourself, acknowledging your feelings, and deciding how you want to move forward. Another key to emotional mastery is emotional regulation. This is about knowing what triggers your emotions and finding healthy ways to manage them. It's not enough to just acknowledge an emotion. You need to actively regulate it. This could be through deep breathing, reframing your perspective, or taking a break to clear your mind. Developing this skill allows you to stay focused, calm, and in control no matter the circumstances. But emotional mastery is not just about handling negative emotions. It's also about embracing positive emotions and staying grounded in them. Joy, excitement, and enthusiasm are all powerful forces that can propel you forward. The key is to harness these emotions and channel them into positive actions rather than letting them lead to impulsiveness or distraction. When you combine emotional mastery with sharp focus, you create a powerful toolkit for navigating challenges. Focus is your ability to direct your attention toward what matters, blocking out distractions and staying aligned with your goals. Emotional intelligence allows you to keep your focus intact, even when things get difficult or stressful. Together, they create an unstoppable force that can keep you moving forward, no matter what life throws at you. So ask yourself, what emotions have been controlling you lately? How can you shift your response to these emotions in a way that serves your greater purpose? By mastering your emotions and your focus, you can navigate setbacks with strength. Stay aligned with your goals. 7. Build winning habits and stay consistent. We all know that success is not achieved overnight. It's not the bursts of energy or the intense moments of productivity that lead to lasting change. It's the small, consistent actions that compound over time. Building winning habits is the key to success. These habits shape who you are and determine the quality of your life. The Buddhists knew this, and they emphasized the importance of cultivating discipline and consistency as the foundation of a meaningful life. The challenge, however, is that habits aren't built overnight. They require time, patience, and deliberate practice. It's easy to get excited about a new goal or a new routine, but the real test comes when the novelty wears off and the day-to-day effort begins to feel like a grind. This is where most people fall off track. They start strong, but without the discipline to stay consistent, they give up too soon. The key to building winning habits is to start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire life in one go. Instead, focus on one habit at a time and make it as easy as possible to succeed. For example, if you want to get healthier, don't aim to work out for an hour every day right from the start. Instead, begin with a small, achievable goal like 10-minute workouts or even just going for a walk each day. As you build consistency, you can gradually increase the intensity and duration. The Buddhists were masters of small, deliberate actions. They didn't rely on motivation to push them through difficult tasks. Instead, they understood that discipline is the true driver of success. Buddha, for instance, practiced the habit of self-reflection daily. It wasn't a grand gesture, it was a small, consistent habit that allowed him to stay grounded, focused, and aligned with his values. This daily commitment to small actions ultimately led him to greater wisdom and success. Building winning habits is also about aligning your habits with your goals. If you want to be more productive, for example, you need to develop habits that directly contribute to productivity, such as prioritizing your most important tasks, setting clear goals, and removing distractions. If you want to improve your mental health, incorporate habits like meditation, journaling, or physical exercise into your daily routine. The key is to make sure your habits support the life you want to create. Consistency is the cornerstone of habit building. It's easy to start strong, but the real challenge is staying consistent over time. This requires discipline and a deep understanding of why the habit is important to you. When you commit to consistency, you stop relying on willpower alone. Instead, your habits become automatic. They become part of who you are, and they support you in achieving your long-term goals. One way to stay consistent is to track your progress. Keep a journal, use a habit tracker, or create a visual reminder of your goals. This helps you stay accountable and allows you to see your progress, even on the days when you feel like you're not making significant strides. Small wins add up, and tracking your progress helps reinforce the idea that every little step counts. Another important part of building winning habits is learning to embrace discomfort. Often, the most rewarding habits are the ones that push us out of our comfort zones. Whether it's waking up early, making time for exercise, or staying focused during a long workday, the habits that lead to long-term success often feel difficult at first. The key is to push through that discomfort and recognize that it's a sign of growth. The more you embrace the discomfort of building new habits, the easier they become. Lastly, don't be too hard on yourself. Building habits takes time, and there will be setbacks along the way. If you slip up, don't give up entirely. Acknowledge the setback, learn from it, and get back on track. The journey to building lasting habits isn't about perfection. It's about progress. The more consistent you are, the more your habits will solidify, and over time, they'll become an integral part of who you are. So today, take a look at the habits you want to build. Start small, stay consistent, and focus on building habits that align with your long-term goals. Remember, success isn't about intensity. It's about showing up every day, even when it's hard. 8. Overcome procrastination and boost productivity. We've all been there. You've got a task in front of you, something that needs to get done, but for some reason you can't seem to get started. You tell yourself, I'll do it later or I'll start tomorrow. And before you know it, the day slips away and that task is still untouched. Procrastination is a silent productivity killer. It's the habit of putting things off until later. But here's the problem. Later never comes, and the task just keeps getting pushed further and further into the future. Procrastination isn't just a bad habit. It's a pattern of thinking that tells you to avoid discomfort in the short term, even though you know that doing so will make things harder in the long run. It's like having a heavy weight in front of you, and instead of facing it, you keep walking around it. The longer you avoid it, the bigger the weight seems to become. But the truth is, avoiding it only makes it harder to deal with later. The key to overcoming procrastination is to break the task into smaller steps. This is where the Buddhist approach to self-discipline comes into play. The Buddhists understood that big, overwhelming tasks can paralyze us, but the way to make them manageable is to take them one small step at a time. When you look at a task as a huge, insurmountable mountain, it's easy to feel defeated before you even begin. But when you break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces, you'll find that the task becomes less daunting. The Buddhist philosopher Buddha once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The same applies to procrastination. The time we waste by avoiding important tasks adds up. The longer you wait to take action, the more time you lose, and eventually the weight of the task becomes even heavier. But when you break it down and start taking action, you start to see progress, and that momentum will keep you moving forward. Another powerful tool to combat procrastination is time blocking. Time blocking is a technique where you set aside specific blocks of time to work on particular tasks without any interruptions or distractions. By dedicating focused time to your tasks, you're not giving your brain a chance to talk you out of it. This strategy helps you to stay in control of your time and build productivity one block at a time. One of the best ways to beat procrastination is to use the 2-minute rule. This rule is simple. If a task will take less than 2 minutes to complete, use the 2-minute rule. Do it immediately. The reason this works so well is that it helps you get over the initial resistance to starting. Once you tackle a small task, you build momentum and find that it's easier to keep going. These small wins start to add up, and before you know it, you've completed the bigger task as well. It's also important to recognize that procrastination often stems from a deeper source. Fear of failure, fear of making mistakes, or even fear of success can all contribute to putting things off. But fear only grows when we avoid it. The Buddhists were known for their ability to face fear head-on and act anyway. They didn't let fear control their actions. Instead, they used it as a motivator to take action, knowing that the only way to overcome fear was to face it directly. So when you feel the urge to procrastinate, ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? Is it the fear of failure? The fear of not doing it perfectly? Once you identify the fear, you can challenge it and move forward. The final piece of the procrastination puzzle is self-compassion. Be kind to yourself when you slip up. Procrastination can sometimes come from a place of self-criticism, where you're afraid of not doing something perfectly. But perfectionism is the enemy of productivity. Instead of focusing on how perfect the end result needs to be, focus on the process and the progress you make. As the Buddhists taught, it's not about perfection. It's about doing what you can when you can and learning from the experience. The next time procrastination rears its ugly head, remember this. Progress is made in action, not in waiting. Break the task into small steps. Give yourself focused time to work and face any fears head on. Don't let procrastination steal your time or your potential. You have everything you need to take action and move forward, so stop waiting for the perfect moment and start today. 9. Strengthen your mind and body. We often hear the saying, a healthy mind in a healthy body, but how often do we take the time to truly understand and apply it? So many of us focus intensely on one aspect of our lives, our career, our relationships, or our ambitions, while neglecting the very foundation that supports all of them, our health. The truth is, your mind and body are inextricably linked. If one suffers, the other will too. If you want to achieve your full potential, you must invest in both your physical and mental health. Physical fitness is often viewed as a necessary evil, something that we do out of obligation rather than enjoyment. Many of us treat our bodies as if they're just a vessel to carry us through life, rather than understanding that a strong body is an essential tool for success. But here's the thing. When you take care of your body, you take care of your mind. Exercise doesn't just improve physical health. It enhances your mood, boosts your energy, sharpens your focus, and improves your cognitive function. The Buddhists were no strangers to this connection between mind and body. They understood that a disciplined life involved caring for both the body and the mind. They didn't neglect the body in their pursuit of wisdom. In fact, they believed that physical discipline was just as important as mental discipline. As a wise monk said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastering yourself means taking care of every aspect of your being, your thoughts, your actions, and your body. When you strengthen your body, you create the physical resilience needed to tackle life's challenges. It's much easier to stay focused and disciplined when your energy levels are high and your mind is sharp. The body provides the foundation for mental clarity and emotional stability. If you're feeling sluggish, tired, or physically drained, your mind will also struggle to stay focused and driven. But when you're physically fit, you can think clearer, make better decisions, and remain calm under pressure. But physical fitness doesn't mean running marathons or lifting heavy weights at the gym. It means finding an activity that works for you, one that gets your heart pumping and strengthens your muscles. Whether it's walking, yoga, swimming, or lifting weights, the key is consistency. Find something you enjoy, something that challenges you, and commit to doing it regularly. It's not about intensity. It's about showing up every day. On the mental side, strengthening your mind is just as crucial. A strong mind is one that can withstand stress, handle adversity, and make clear decisions. Mental resilience doesn't come from avoiding stress or running away from challenges. It comes from learning how to face them head-on and persevere through difficult times. The Buddhists taught us that resilience is built by embracing discomfort, not avoiding it. Mental toughness grows when you push yourself outside of your comfort zone and choose to act despite fear, uncertainty, or difficulty. One of the best ways to build mental strength is through mindfulness and self-reflection. Start each day by taking a moment to check in with yourself. How do you feel? What's on your mind? What are your intentions for the day? Practicing mindfulness helps you stay grounded and present, which can reduce stress and anxiety. Self-reflection allows you to see how you're progressing toward your goals. Identify areas where you may need to improve and celebrate the small wins. Another powerful tool for strengthening your mind is reading. The Buddhists were avid readers, always seeking knowledge and wisdom. They understood that reading not only broadens the mind, but also provides the tools needed to navigate life's challenges with clarity and strength. Read daily. Whether it's philosophy, personal development, or even fiction, reading stimulates the mind and strengthens your intellectual resilience. Finally, developing a resilient mindset also means managing your emotions. Life is full of ups and downs, and we can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. Emotional intelligence is key to managing stress, making better decisions, and staying focused. The Buddhists emphasize the importance of observing your emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. When you develop emotional intelligence, you build the mental strength to stay composed in any situation, which helps you navigate obstacles with clarity and purpose. Your mind and body are your most powerful assets. Without them, nothing else matters. If you want to achieve your full potential, start by strengthening both. Make time for physical exercise and mental growth every day. The more you invest in your body and mind, the stronger, sharper, and more resilient you'll become. Your success, happiness, and well-being depend on it. 10. Reflect, adapt, and keep moving forward. In life, we often get caught up in the hustle. The constant pursuit of goals, the relentless drive to succeed, and the pressure to keep moving forward no matter what. But how often do we stop and take a moment to reflect? How often do we pause and evaluate where we are, what we've learned, and what we need to adjust? Reflection is an essential part of the growth process, but it's often overlooked in our rush to get things done. The truth is, reflection is where the magic happens. It's when you take a step back and look at your journey that you can see how far you've come, what's working, and what isn't. Reflection helps you adapt and make the necessary changes to keep moving forward with purpose and direction. Without reflection, you risk repeating the same mistakes, staying stuck in old patterns, or losing sight of your bigger vision. The Buddhists were firm believers in self-reflection. Buddha, in his meditations, wrote extensively about the importance of looking inward. He said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that the challenges and obstacles you face aren't just things to overcome, they're opportunities to learn, grow, and adjust your course. Reflection allows you to see the lessons hidden in every setback, and it gives you the clarity to adapt your approach for the future. The first step in reflecting is to make it a regular practice. Set aside time each day or week to reflect on your actions, your progress, and your challenges. What went well? What didn't go as planned? Why? What can you learn from these experiences? It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and forget to assess where you are. But taking even 10 minutes a day to reflect can help you gain insight into your habits, your mindset, and your actions. Another key to reflection is honesty. Be brutally honest with yourself. It's easy to make excuses or justify your actions, but true growth comes when you confront your weaknesses and acknowledge areas where you can improve. This might mean admitting that you've been procrastinating or that your habits aren't as productive as you thought. But the sooner you recognize these truths, the sooner you can make changes and move forward with a clearer, more focused mindset. Once you've reflected on your progress, it's time to adapt. Growth isn't about staying the same, it's about constantly evolving. When you reflect on your actions, ask yourself, what can I do differently? Maybe you need to adjust your goals, change your approach, or let go of a habit that's holding you back. The ability to adapt is what separates those who stagnate from those who continue to evolve and succeed. Every time you adapt, you get closer to your true potential. The final piece is moving forward. Reflection without action is like a car that's parked in neutral. It gets you nowhere. Once you've reflected and adapted, take action. Make the changes necessary to keep progressing. The Buddhists taught that action is essential to a meaningful life. Buddha said it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. If you want to reach your goals, you can't afford to sit still. Keep moving forward, even if it's at a slow pace. Momentum comes from consistent effort, and each step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to where you want to be. Self-reflection isn't about being harsh on yourself. It's about learning and growing from your experiences. It's about embracing the journey, knowing that every obstacle is an opportunity to adapt and improve. By regularly reflecting, adapting, and moving forward, you create a continuous cycle of growth that propels you towards success. So make reflection a part of your daily routine. Take time to look inward, learn from your mistakes, and adjust your course. And most importantly, keep moving forward. The road to success isn't always linear, but with reflection and action, you'll continue to grow, evolve, and get closer to the life you truly want. As we wrap up this episode, it's important to remember that the journey toward achieving your goals is not a sprint. It's a marathon. Self-discipline, resilience, and the ability to reflect and adapt are the key components that will propel you forward, no matter what obstacles you face. The 10 principles we've covered today are not just tips. They are the building blocks of a life led by purpose, action, and growth. It's easy to get caught up in the rush to chase after quick fixes or instant results. But true success comes from the small, consistent actions you take every day. Whether it's finding your inner drive, breaking through fear, building winning habits, or reflecting on your progress, it all starts with the decision to take action. Every step you take today builds the foundation for the life you want tomorrow. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. The Buddhists taught us that our greatest power lies in how we respond to life's challenges. And by applying these principles, you can take control of your life, push past your limitations, and unlock your true potential. The Buddhists taught us that, so I challenge you to take what you've learned today and put it into action. Identify one area in your life where you can start applying these principles and take that first step. Whether it's setting clear, actionable goals, mastering your emotions, or building winning habits, take a step today and keep moving forward. Let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself constantly bending over backward for others? Afraid of saying no, apologizing for things that don't really need an apology, or feeling drained because you're always putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own? If so, it might be time to ask yourself, am I respecting myself as much as I respect others? Self-respect isn't just about how others treat you. It's about how you treat yourself. It's about knowing your worth, setting boundaries, and standing up for what you need without guilt or hesitation. In this episode, we'll explore 11 powerful strategies to help you stop being overly accommodating, break free from toxic patterns like people-pleasing, and cultivate a stronger sense of self-respect. These aren't abstract concepts. They're practical, actionable steps you can start applying today. By learning how to set boundaries, say no without fear, and take care of your emotional well-being, you'll begin to feel more confident, assertive, and in control of your life. And most importantly, you'll start living on your own terms without constantly feeling the need to please everyone around you. If you're ready to stop being soft to everyone and start respecting yourself more, let's get started. Lesson 1. Stop being a people pleaser. Do you often find yourself saying yes to things you don't want to do just to avoid disappointing someone? Do you prioritize everyone else's needs above your own, even when it leaves you feeling drained or resentful? If so, you might be stuck in the cycle of people-pleasing. And while it might seem like you're being kind and considerate, it's actually a habit that undermines your self-respect. People-pleasers often act out of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, or fear of not being liked. The problem is that when you constantly put others first, you start neglecting your own well-being, and over time, this leads to feelings of resentment, low self-esteem, and burnout. You teach people that your needs don't matter, and they begin to expect you to always accommodate them. The key to breaking free from this cycle is learning to value your own needs as much as you value others. This doesn't mean becoming selfish or inconsiderate. It means recognizing that your time, energy, and emotional well-being are just as important as anyone else's. By respecting your own boundaries, you send a clear message to yourself and those around you. I matter too. Here's a practical way to start. The next time someone asks you to do something that doesn't align with your priorities or makes you uncomfortable, pause before you respond. Ask yourself, am I saying yes because I genuinely want to, or because I'm afraid of how they'll react if I say no? If it's the latter, try saying no politely but firmly. For example, you can say, I'd love to help, but I can't commit to that right now. You don't owe anyone an elaborate explanation. Your time and energy are valuable, and protecting them is a form of self-respect. At first, it might feel uncomfortable to say no, or to prioritize your own needs, especially if you're used to always accommodating others. But with practice, you'll notice a shift. You'll feel more confident, less resentful, and more in control of your life. You'll start to attract people who respect your boundaries, rather than those who take advantage of your kindness. As a wise monk once said, no one is free who is not master of themselves. By learning to stop people-pleasing and start respecting your own needs, you take a crucial step toward becoming the master of your own life. Remember, true kindness isn't about sacrificing yourself for others. It's about giving from a place of strength, not obligation. Ask yourself today, am I respecting my own needs? Or am I constantly prioritizing others at my expense? If it's the latter, start small. Say no to one thing that doesn't serve you and notice how it feels. Over time, you'll build the strength and confidence to stand up for yourself without guilt or hesitation. Lesson 2. Cut the constant apologies. Do you catch yourself apologizing for things that don't really require an apology? Maybe you say I'm sorry when someone bumps into you, or you apologize before asking a simple question. While apologizing is important in certain situations, over-apologizing can weaken your confidence and signal to others that you don't value yourself as much as you should. When you constantly apologize, you unintentionally send a message that you're at fault or that your presence is inconvenient. Over time, this habit can undermine your self-respect and cause others to take you less seriously. Apologizing too much also creates an internal belief that you're always in the wrong, which can erode your self-esteem and make it harder to assert yourself. Of course, genuine apologies are necessary when you've made a mistake or hurt someone, but apologizing for things that aren't your fault or for simply existing does more harm than good. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry" out of habit, start practicing assertive communication that respects both you and the person you're speaking to. Here's a simple strategy. The next time you feel the urge to apologize for something minor, pause and ask yourself, is this really something I need to apologize for, or am I just filling the silence? If it's unnecessary, try replacing "I'm sorry" with a more neutral or positive phrase. For example, instead of saying "sorry for bothering you," say "thank you for your time." Instead of "I'm sorry I'm late," say "thank you for waiting." By shifting your language, you maintain respect for the other person without diminishing your own. This small change helps you communicate confidently and reinforces your self-worth. Over-apologizing isn't just about words, it's about mindset. Start paying attention to how often you say sorry in situations where it's not needed, and remind yourself that you have a right to take up space and express your needs without guilt. Assertiveness doesn't mean being rude or dismissive. It means respecting yourself while respecting others. The Buddhists believed in controlling what you can and letting go of what you can't. Buddha wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Constantly apologizing for things outside your control only drains your energy. Instead, focus on what you can control: your words, your actions, and your attitude toward yourself. Ask yourself, am I apologizing because I've done something wrong, or am I apologizing out of habit? If it's the latter, start practicing more assertive communication. Over time, you'll notice a shift not just in how others perceive you, but in how you perceive yourself. You'll feel more confident, more respected, and more in control of your interactions. Remember, cutting out unnecessary apologies doesn't mean ignoring your mistakes. It means valuing yourself enough to know when an apology is truly needed. By doing so, you'll strengthen your self-respect and communicate in a way that reflects your true worth. Lesson 3. Set boundaries and own your space. Have you ever said yes to something you didn't want to do, just to avoid conflict or disappointing someone? Or perhaps you felt uncomfortable in a situation, but stayed silent because you didn't want to appear difficult. If so, it's likely that you need to work on setting boundaries, an essential skill for protecting your self-respect. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define what's acceptable and unacceptable in your life. They help you protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being. Without clear boundaries, you end up feeling drained, resentful, and overlooked because you're constantly giving more than you should. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's an act of self-respect. It shows others that you value yourself and won't tolerate behavior that compromises your well-being. One of the biggest misconceptions about setting boundaries is that it's about pushing people away or being harsh. In reality, boundaries are about mutual respect. Respecting yourself enough to communicate your needs and respecting others enough to be clear with them. Healthy boundaries create stronger, more balanced relationships because they prevent misunderstandings and resentment. Here's a simple way to start. Identify one area in your life where you feel your boundaries are being crossed. It could be at work, with friends, or even with family. Once you've identified it, think about what behavior you're uncomfortable with and how you can assert your boundary in a calm, respectful way. For example, if a colleague regularly interrupts your work with non-urgent requests, you could say, "Canty, I'm happy to help, but I need to finish this task first. Can we discuss it later?" If a friend always expects you to be available, you might say, "I care about you, but I also need time for myself." I won't always be able to say yes. At first, setting boundaries might feel awkward or even scary, especially if you're used to putting others' needs first. But over time, you'll notice something powerful. People will start to respect you more because you respect yourself. Those who genuinely care about you will appreciate your honesty, and those who don't may drift away, making room for healthier relationships. Another important aspect of setting boundaries is learning to say no without guilt. Many people fear that saying no will make them seem rude or unkind, but in reality, saying no when something doesn't serve you is an act of self-care. You don't have to explain or justify your no. Sometimes a simple, polite, "I can't right now" is enough. The Buddhists believed in the importance of guarding one's mind and energy. A wise monk said, "No great thing is created suddenly." By setting boundaries, you're creating space for what truly matters in your life. Whether it's personal growth, meaningful relationships, or simply peace of mind. Here's something to reflect on. Where in my life am I saying yes when I really want to say no? Choose one instance where you can start practicing boundaries this week. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but remember, setting boundaries is a skill, and like any skill, it gets easier with practice. Remember, you're not responsible for how others react to your boundaries. You're responsible for your own well-being. By setting boundaries and owning your space, you're making a powerful statement. I value myself, and I won't compromise my self-respect for the comfort of others. And that's one of the most important steps you can take toward building lasting self-respect. It's a life where you can build stronger relationships, achieve your goals with confidence, and create a future that reflects your true potential. The next step is to embrace these practices and commit to a path of thoughtful and deliberate decision-making. As you cultivate a life guided by wisdom and thoughtful decision-making, it's crucial to acknowledge how unchecked anger can stifle your creativity and innovation. Anger can create mental blocks, hinder your ability to think outside the box, and prevent you from tapping into your full creative potential. When anger dominates your emotional landscape, it consumes a significant portion of your mental energy. This constant preoccupation with negative thoughts and feelings leaves little room for creative thinking. This is the life that awaits you when you learn to manage your anger and cultivate a more open and curious mindset. It's a life where you can achieve your creative goals, collaborate effectively with others, and contribute to the world in meaningful and innovative ways. The next step is to embrace these practices and commit to a path of creativity and innovation. As you embrace your creativity and open your mind to new possibilities, it's important to consider another profound impact of unchecked anger, its potential to undermine your sense of purpose and fulfillment. Anger can cloud your vision, distract you from your goals, and prevent you from living a life aligned with your deepest values and aspirations. When anger becomes a dominant force, it can consume your thoughts and energy, leaving little room for introspection and self-discovery. This constant preoccupation with negative emotions can make it difficult to connect with your inner desires and passions. Instead of pursuing meaningful activities and goals, you might find yourself stuck in a cycle of reacting to immediate frustrations and grievances. This reactive approach to life can leave you feeling unfulfilled and disconnected from your true purpose. Consider how anger can distract you from your long-term goals. Achieving meaningful objectives requires focused dedication and a clear sense of direction. However, when you're frequently angry, your attention is often diverted to addressing the sources of your anger. This distraction can prevent you from making consistent progress towards your goals and undermine your sense of achievement. Instead of moving forward, you might find yourself constantly putting out fires and dealing with setbacks caused by your anger. Anger can also erode your motivation and drive. When you're consumed by negative emotions, it's hard to find the enthusiasm and energy needed to pursue your passions. This lack of motivation can lead to procrastination and a sense of stagnation where you feel stuck and unable to move forward. Over time, this can create a sense of hopelessness and resignation where you start to believe that your goals are unattainable and that your efforts are futile. Moreover, anger can create a sense of isolation and disconnection from others, which further undermines your sense of purpose. Meaningful relationships and connections are often a crucial part of feeling fulfilled and purposeful. However, anger can strain these relationships and create barriers to genuine connection. When you're isolated and disconnected, it's harder to find the support and encouragement needed to pursue your goals and live a fulfilling life. To reclaim your sense of purpose and fulfillment, it's essential to address the underlying causes of your anger and develop strategies to manage it effectively. One powerful approach is to engage in regular self-reflection and introspection. Take time to explore your values, passions, and long-term goals. Reflect on what truly matters to you and what you want to achieve in life. This self-discovery process can help you reconnect with your inner desires and create a clear vision for your future. Developing a sense of gratitude can also enhance your sense of purpose. Gratitude involves recognizing and appreciating the positive aspects of your life, even in the midst of challenges. By focusing on what you're grateful for, you can shift your perspective away from anger and towards a more positive and fulfilling outlook. Keeping a gratitude journal, where you regularly write down things you're thankful for, can be a powerful tool in this process. Building a supportive network of friends, family, and mentors can provide the encouragement and guidance needed to pursue your goals. Surround yourself with individuals who uplift and inspire you, and who can offer valuable insights and support. Focusing on what matters also means prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being. The Buddhists believe that true happiness and confidence come from inner peace, not external success. If you're constantly chasing external validation, you'll find that your confidence is always at the mercy of others' opinions or external outcomes. But when you focus on cultivating inner peace through practices like mindfulness, self-reflection, and gratitude, you build a sense of confidence that is unshakable because it comes from within. Let's consider the practice of mindfulness, which aligns closely with Buddhist teachings. Being mindful means being fully present in the moment and focusing your attention on what's happening right now, rather than being caught up in worries about the past or the future. When you practice mindfulness, you're better able to focus on what truly matters in the present moment. Whether that's a conversation with a loved one, a task at work, or simply enjoying a quiet moment of reflection. This ability to be fully present strengthens your confidence because it allows you to engage deeply with life rather than being distracted by things that don't matter. The Buddhists also emphasize the importance of letting go of what doesn't matter, specifically things outside of our control. A wise monk famously taught that we should focus only on what we can control and let go of everything else. This is a powerful lesson for building confidence because it teaches us to stop worrying about external circumstances or outcomes that are beyond our control. When you stop trying to control things you can't change, you free up your energy to focus on the things you can, your actions, your thoughts, and your decisions. For instance, many people feel insecure or anxious about the future because they're trying to control things that are outside their influence, whether it's other people's opinions, the economy, or the outcomes of their efforts. The Buddhists would encourage us to focus instead on what we can control, our preparation, our attitude, and how we respond to challenges. By focusing on these internal factors, we build confidence because we know that we've done our best regardless of the outcome. In conclusion, focusing on what matters is a crucial Buddhist lesson for boosting confidence. When you align your focus with your values, prioritize your inner peace, and let go of distractions and things outside of your control, you create a strong foundation for self-assurance. Buddhism teaches us that confidence doesn't come from external achievements or validation. It comes from knowing that we're dedicating our time and energy to what truly matters. By practicing mindfulness, self-reflection, and simplicity, you can cultivate a deep sense of confidence and purpose that will guide you through life's challenges. Self-reflection is one of the most powerful tools we have for personal growth and for building lasting confidence. Buddhism places a strong emphasis on the practice of regular self-reflection because it helps us gain clarity about our actions, thoughts, and emotions. By reflecting on our experiences, we can learn from our mistakes, celebrate our successes, and make adjustments that align us more closely with our values and goals. The Buddhist philosopher Buddha believed in the importance of daily reflection. He recommended that at the end of each day, we should take time to review our actions, asking ourselves what we did well, where we fell short, and how we can improve. This kind of reflection isn't about self-criticism or judgment. It's about learning and growing. Buddha wrote, we should every night call ourselves to account. What infirmity have I mastered today? What passions opposed? What temptation resisted? What virtue acquired? This practice allows us to continuously refine our character and build confidence from knowing that we are always working to become better versions of ourselves. Through self-reflection, we develop a deeper understanding of who we are, what drives us, and what areas need attention. This clarity is key to building confidence because it gives us a roadmap for personal growth. When you know where your strengths lie and where you need to improve, you can make intentional choices to work on those areas which boost your self-assurance. Instead of feeling lost or unsure, you're empowered with the knowledge of how to move forward. Self-reflection also helps us identify patterns in our behavior that may be holding us back. For instance, if you notice that you tend to react defensively in certain situations or avoid taking risks because of fear, you can begin to work on changing those habits. By acknowledging these patterns through reflection, you take the first step toward breaking free from them. Over time, this leads to a greater sense of control over your actions and decisions, which naturally enhances your confidence. One of the key principles of Buddhist philosophy is the idea that we should focus on what's within our control and let go of everything else. Self-reflection helps us apply this principle to our daily lives by encouraging us to examine our reactions to the things that happen around us. For example, after a difficult conversation or challenging situation, you might ask yourself, how did I handle that? Did I focus on what I could control? Or did I let my emotions get the better of me? This kind of reflection helps you become more mindful of your reactions and teaches you to respond to life's challenges with greater calm and clarity. Self-reflection is not only about analyzing your actions, but also about examining your thoughts and emotions. Buddha, in his meditations, frequently wrote about the importance of understanding his own mind. He believed that our thoughts shape our experience of life, and that by reflecting on them, we can cultivate a mindset that aligns with our values and goals. Marcus wrote, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By regularly reflecting on your thoughts, you can identify negative patterns, such as self-doubt, fear, or judgment, and work to replace them with more constructive and empowering beliefs. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, or I can't handle this, self-reflection allows you to challenge these thoughts and reframe them. Instead of letting negative thoughts erode your confidence, you can reflect on past experiences where you've succeeded or overcome challenges, and remind yourself that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. This process of reframing negative thoughts is a powerful way to build resilience and self-confidence. Another benefit of self-reflection is that it helps you stay true to your values. The Buddhists believe that living in accordance with your values is essential for a fulfilling and confident life. By regularly reflecting on your actions, you can ensure that you're living in alignment with your principles. This might mean asking yourself questions like, did I act with integrity today? Was I kind and just in my interactions with others? Did I stay focused on my goals, or did I get distracted by things that don't matter? This kind of reflection keeps you grounded in your values, which strengthens your confidence because you know you're living authentically. One of the most practical ways to incorporate self-reflection into your daily routine is through journaling. Keeping a journal allows you to track your thoughts, actions, and progress over time. It gives you a space to reflect on your experiences, set goals, and analyze your reactions to life's challenges. Many Buddhist philosophers, including Buddha, use journaling as a way to practice self-reflection and gain insight into their inner lives. By writing down your reflections each day, you create a record of your growth and a tool for continuous self-improvement. Let's consider an example of how self-reflection can boost confidence. Imagine you're preparing for an important presentation at work. In the days leading up to it, you feel anxious and unsure of yourself. Instead of letting those feelings undermine your confidence, you take time to reflect. You ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What's the worst that could happen? What have I done in the past that prepared me for this? Through this process, you realize that you've successfully given presentations before and that your preparation has set you up for success. This self-reflection not only calms your nerves, but also reinforces your belief in your own abilities. In conclusion, practicing self-reflection is a crucial Buddhist lesson for boosting confidence. By regularly examining your thoughts, actions, and emotions, you gain valuable insights into your strengths and weaknesses, which helps you grow and improve. Self-reflection also helps you stay aligned with your values, break negative patterns, and cultivate a mindset that fosters confidence and resilience. Through daily reflection, whether through journaling or simply taking time to think, you can build a deep sense of self-assurance that will guide you through life's challenges. Resilience is one of the most essential qualities for navigating life's challenges with confidence, and it is a central concept in Buddhist philosophy. Life is full of obstacles, setbacks, and unexpected events, but how we respond to these challenges determines whether we become stronger or feel defeated. The Buddhists teach us that true resilience comes from focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot. A wise monk reminds us it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This Buddhist teaching is at the heart of resilience. While we cannot always control the circumstances we face, whether it's a personal failure, a health issue, or a difficult relationship, a wise monk reminds us it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. We have complete control over how we respond. By choosing to view challenges as opportunities for growth, rather than as insurmountable problems, we build the mental and emotional strength to face adversity with confidence. Building resilience means cultivating the ability to bounce back from difficulties. It's not about avoiding pain or discomfort, but learning to endure them with grace and clarity. Buddha wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This powerful Buddhist principle teaches us that obstacles are not meant to be avoided, but embraced as part of our journey. Each challenge we face provides an opportunity to develop our resilience, grow stronger, and become more confident in our ability to handle future difficulties. Consider a common situation in which resilience is necessary: losing a job. For many, this experience can be overwhelming and lead to feelings of failure, self-doubt, and fear about the future. However, through the lens of Buddhism, losing a job can be seen not as a failure, but as an opportunity for growth and reinvention. The Buddhists would advise us to focus on what we can control, our next steps, how we use our time and our mindset, rather than dwelling on the loss itself. By approaching the situation with resilience, we can turn what seems like a setback into a new beginning. Another key aspect of building resilience is accepting that life is unpredictable. The Buddhists practiced premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, which involves mentally preparing for worst-case scenarios. By considering what could go wrong, Buddhists were better equipped to handle challenges with composure when they arose. This practice doesn't mean dwelling on negativity, but rather acknowledging that hardships are a natural part of life. When you mentally prepare for adversity, you're less likely to be caught off guard and more likely to respond with resilience when difficulties arise. Let's take the example of someone training for a marathon. They know that along the way they will face physical fatigue, injury, or moments of doubt. Instead of fearing these obstacles, they anticipate them and develop strategies to overcome them. Whether it's through physical conditioning, mental toughness, or learning to pace themselves. This is resilience in action. By preparing for challenges and accepting them as part of the process, they build the strength to push through when things get tough. The same principle applies to life. When we build resilience by accepting that setbacks are inevitable, we gain the confidence to face them head-on. Resilience is also about maintaining a positive mindset in the face of adversity. The Buddhists believe that our perception of events shapes our experience of them. Buddha said, "A man is as miserable as he thinks he is." This highlights the power of our thoughts in shaping our reality. When we view challenges as insurmountable, we feel overwhelmed and defeated. But when we see them as opportunities for growth, we approach them with a sense of purpose and resilience. While it's natural to feel these emotions, the Buddhists teach us not to let them control our actions. A wise monk advised, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. This means focusing on what you can do and accepting what you cannot change. Emotional resilience involves acknowledging your feelings, but not allowing them to dictate your response. By practicing emotional self-control, you build the resilience to face challenges with calm and clarity. Let's consider a real-life example of resilience. Think about someone who has faced a major setback, such as a serious illness or the loss of a loved one. While these experiences are incredibly painful, those who practice resilience are able to move forward by focusing on what they can control, whether it's taking care of their health, finding support from loved ones, or adjusting to their new reality. This doesn't mean ignoring the pain, but rather accepting it as part of life's journey and using it as fuel to become stronger and more resilient. In conclusion, building resilience is a fundamental Buddhist lesson for boosting confidence. Life will inevitably bring challenges, but it's how we respond to those challenges that determines our strength and growth. By focusing on what we can control, accepting adversity as part of life, and maintaining a positive mindset, we can develop the resilience needed to face difficulties with confidence. The Buddhists remind us that every obstacle is an opportunity for growth, and by embracing this mindset, we can build the inner strength to handle whatever life throws our way. Embracing this journey means being open to learning, adapting, and evolving as we gain more experiences. It's about recognizing that wisdom isn't static. It deepens and expands as we continue to engage with the world and reflect on our interactions. Moreover, embracing the long-term journey aligns with the Buddhist practice of focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. This isn't about resignation, but about empowerment. It frees us from the unnecessary stress of trying to control the uncontrollable and allows us to invest our energy in actions and attitudes that truly enrich our lives and the lives of those around us. In practical terms, this might mean choosing to invest time in relationships that are nurturing and supportive, pursuing careers that align with our values, or dedicating ourselves to causes that we believe in. Each choice is a brick in the foundation of a life well lived, a life that reflects our deepest convictions and highest aspirations. Thank you all for joining me today in exploring these Buddhist principles. Remember, the journey is long, but each step is a chance to reinforce who we are and what we stand for. By adopting a Buddhist mindset, we learn not only to withstand the trials of life, but to approach them in a way that enhances our understanding of ourselves and our capabilities. Habit 3. The power of choice. Now that we understand that our emotions stem from our judgments and not the events themselves, let's delve into the profound Buddhist principle of choice. This idea is incredibly empowering. It means that no matter what life throws at us, we have the last say on how we respond. Whether it's a rude comment, a financial setback, or a personal loss, our emotional response is ours to choose. Think about it this way. Life is like a complex dance. Events come at us in quick succession, and our emotions can react just as quickly. But like a skilled dancer who decides which steps to take on the dance floor, we can choose how to move with, around, or away from our emotional impulses. This doesn't mean ignoring our feelings. Rather, it's about acknowledging them and deciding the best course of action that aligns with our values and long-term goals. The key to making this practical is to develop what the Buddhists called prasosai, or mindful attention. It's about being aware in the present moment, recognizing our emotional triggers as they arise, and consciously deciding how we'll respond. By practicing mindfulness, we can widen that space between stimulus and response, giving us the time to choose our actions wisely. This power of choice is what enabled Buddhist philosophers like Buddha to remain tranquil in times of extreme stress. Buddha suggested that we should rehearse worst-case scenarios in our minds, not to dwell on them, but to diminish the intensity of our reactions when faced with actual challenges. By doing so, we become less reactive and more responsive. Moreover, embracing this Buddhist approach helps us build resilience. Resilience doesn't come from avoiding challenges, but from facing them with clarity and determination. Every time we choose a response that keeps us aligned with our goals, we strengthen our ability to handle future challenges more effectively. Habit 4: Techniques for Action over Emotion. As we delve deeper into the Buddhist practice, it becomes clear that knowing you have a choice isn't enough. You need effective strategies to exercise that choice wisely. Here are some time-tested techniques drawn from Buddhist wisdom that can help you choose your actions over your emotions, turning potential turmoil into triumph. One pivotal technique involves the simple yet powerful act of pausing when an emotion flares up. Imagine you're in a heated discussion. Instead of immediately reacting, give yourself a moment. This pause is a buffer, giving your rational mind time to wake up and process the situation. During this brief interlude, you can assess the emotion. Is it anger, frustration, fear? Acknowledging what you feel can diminish its overwhelming power, allowing you to respond rather than react. Another Buddhist strategy is to reframe your thoughts about the situation. This cognitive reframing involves shifting your perspective to see the event differently. If someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of getting angry and assuming malicious intent, you might consider other explanations. Perhaps they are rushing to an emergency. Ask yourself, does reacting with anger align with my values? What would the best version of myself do in this situation? By aligning your actions with your values, you ensure that your responses contribute to the person you aspire to be, rather than a momentary emotional state. Emotional acceptance is crucial too. This doesn't mean resigning yourself to feeling bad. It means accepting that you are feeling a certain way without judgment or immediate reaction. Acceptance allows you to understand your emotions better and manage them proactively. It's like observing the clouds as they pass by in the sky. Notice them, but don't get carried away by the storm. Each of these techniques isn't just about handling a particular emotional moment. They are about cultivating a life where you consistently choose actions that reflect your rational and reasoned decisions. Practicing these techniques regularly can turn them into habits, fundamentally changing how you interact with your emotions and the world. As you integrate these practices into your daily life, you'll find that not only do your emotional responses become more balanced, but your overall sense of well-being improves, allowing you to live more fully in alignment with your Buddhist principles. Habit 5. Benefits of choosing actions over emotions. When we choose our actions consciously, aligning them with rational thought rather than fleeting emotions, we cultivate an inner stability that is apparent to those around us. This stability makes us more reliable and trustworthy. In personal relationships, this can deepen bonds as loved ones see us as pillars of strength, capable of supporting them emotionally rather than reacting impulsively to stressful situations. It means that in times of conflict or tension, instead of escalating the situation with emotional reactions, we contribute to resolving it, enhancing the quality and depth of our connections. Professionally, the ability to stay calm and collected under pressure is invaluable. In the workplace, emotions can run high, but the capacity to maintain composure sets leaders apart. This isn't about suppressing emotions, but rather managing responses in a way that is considered and constructive. Decisions made in this state are typically more strategic and thoughtful, leading to better outcomes and demonstrating a level of leadership that is respected and often emulated. Furthermore, choosing actions over emotions leads to personal resilience and mental toughness. The Buddhists believe that our greatest trials are opportunities for growth. By facing challenges with a calm and composed demeanor, we train ourselves to handle future stresses with greater ease. This resilience can dramatically improve our overall well-being, reducing feelings of anxiety and depression, and increasing our life satisfaction. Essentially, we're not just reacting to life's challenges, we're actively shaping our journey through them. Another significant benefit is the development of self-awareness and self-regulation. These skills allow us to understand our emotional triggers and effectively manage them. This awareness then extends beyond ourselves, improving our empathy and understanding of others' emotions. With this enhanced perception, we can navigate social interactions more skillfully, adapting our responses to suit different situations and personalities. The practice of choosing actions over emotions equips us with tools not just to survive in our world, but to thrive. By embodying the principles of Buddhism, we don't just go through life. We grow through life, continually improving ourselves and positively impacting those around us. Habit 6. Overcoming challenges. Mastering your emotions and consistently choosing rational actions over impulsive reactions is no small feat. It's a profound challenge that requires dedication, patience, and resilience. In this journey, as Buddhism teaches us, we encounter numerous obstacles that test our resolve and our ability to apply philosophical principles to real-life situations. One of the first challenges many of us face is the intensity and immediacy of our emotional reactions. Emotions are powerful and can overwhelm even the most dedicated practitioners of Buddhism. They can surge quickly and unexpectedly, driven by deep-seated habits and instincts that have been reinforced over a lifetime. The key to overcoming this challenge isn't to suppress these emotions, but to acknowledge their presence without allowing them to dictate our actions. This requires a high level of self-awareness and the ability to pause and reflect in the heat of the moment, a skill that is cultivated through consistent practice and mindfulness. Another significant challenge is maintaining consistency in applying Buddhist practices. It's one thing to remain calm and composed in a controlled environment, but it's entirely another to do so under stress in the face of adversity, or during an unexpected crisis. The Buddhist practice of premeditatio, which involves visualizing and mentally preparing for potential difficulties, can be incredibly helpful here. This exercise strengthens our mental resilience by familiarizing us with adversity before it occurs, reducing the shock and discomfort when challenging situations inevitably arise. Furthermore, there's the challenge of skepticism, both internal and external. Internally, you might doubt whether Buddhist principles can truly make a difference in the face of real-world problems. Externally, peers or societal norms might question or undervalue the importance of emotional regulation, viewing it as unnecessary or overly philosophical. Overcoming this skepticism involves demonstrating the practical benefits of Buddhist practices, not only through words but through actions. As we embody the calm, rational, and resilient traits promoted by Buddhism, the effectiveness of these practices becomes apparent, not only to ourselves but also to others. Lastly, integrating Buddhist practices into daily life poses its own set of challenges. The modern world is fast-paced and often emphasizes quick reactions and emotional expressions. To counter this, setting aside time each day for reflection, such as journaling or meditative practices, can anchor us in Buddhist principles. This daily commitment turns abstract concepts into tangible actions, gradually weaving Buddhism into the fabric of our everyday lives. Overcoming these challenges requires a robust commitment to self-improvement and a deep understanding of Buddhist philosophy. It's about embracing the process, knowing that each obstacle is an opportunity to practice and strengthen our Buddhist virtues. The immediate impulse might be to defend your work aggressively, allowing irritation or anger to dictate your response. However, applying Buddhist principles, you could take a moment to pause, acknowledging your initial emotional response without acting on it. Instead of snapping back, you might then choose to address the criticism calmly, asking for specific feedback that could improve the project. A Buddhist approach would involve recognizing the emotional triggers as they arise and consciously choosing to respond with understanding rather than reactivity. This might mean taking time to listen actively to the other person's concerns without immediately reacting or trying to solve the problem. Such a response promotes dialogue and understanding, helping to resolve conflicts in a way that strengthens relationships rather than weakening them. In another aspect of personal development, consider the challenge of self-discipline, such as maintaining a fitness routine or a diet. It's easy to give in to momentary impulses, skipping a workout because you feel tired or indulging in an unhealthy snack. Buddhism teaches us to focus on our long-term goals and values rather than short-term comforts. By applying Buddhist discipline, you can remind yourself of the reasons behind your choices, reinforcing your willpower to act in accordance with your greater good rather than momentary desires. Moreover, Buddhism can profoundly impact our overall resilience and mental health. To think, to enjoy, to love. For a creative, this privilege extends to the ability to imagine, to express, and to contribute something unique to the world. Gratitude grounds you in the present moment, helping you focus on the opportunities you have rather than the obstacles in your way. One of the most common barriers in the creative process is frustration, when ideas don't flow, when progress feels slow, or when results don't match your expectations. Gratitude allows you to shift your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant. Instead of fixating on the challenges, you can appreciate the tools, skills, and inspiration you already possess. For example, if you're struggling with a project, pause to acknowledge the privilege of having the time and resources to create. This perspective doesn't eliminate difficulties, but it makes them feel more manageable. Another way gratitude enhances creativity is by reducing the weight of comparison. In a world where it's easy to measure your work against others, gratitude helps you focus on your unique journey. Buddha advised, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Instead of envying another person's success, practice gratitude for your own progress and potential. Recognize that your creative path is yours alone, and that every step, no matter how small, is meaningful. Gratitude also fosters resilience in the face of setbacks. When rejection or failure strikes, it's natural to feel disheartened. But the Buddhists teach us to reframe adversity as an opportunity for growth. A wise monk said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." In creative terms, this means appreciating the lessons that challenges bring. A failed project might teach you new techniques or reveal an idea you hadn't considered. Gratitude helps you see these moments as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Practicing gratitude doesn't have to be time-consuming. Start with simple daily reflections. At the end of each creative session, ask yourself, what went well today? What resources or opportunities am I grateful for? What skills have I developed through this process? Writing these reflections in a journal reinforces the habit of gratitude and helps you maintain a positive outlook. Another practice is to express gratitude for your creative process itself. The Buddhists believed in honoring what is within your control, and your creative effort is entirely yours. Whether your work is praised, criticized, or ignored, the act of creating is an achievement in itself. Take a moment to thank yourself for showing up, for trying, and for continuing to grow. Gratitude can also be a source of inspiration. By focusing on what you're thankful for, you often uncover ideas and themes to explore in your work. For example, reflecting on meaningful relationships, memorable experiences, or even personal struggles can spark creative expression. These moments of gratitude connect you to your authentic voice, enriching your art with depth and sincerity. Lastly, share your gratitude with others. Whether it's thanking a mentor who guided you, acknowledging a peer who inspired you, or expressing appreciation to an audience who supports your work, gratitude strengthens connections and builds a supportive, creative community. The Buddhists valued mutual respect and generosity, believing that gratitude fosters harmony and growth. Ask yourself, am I focusing on what I lack, or am I appreciating what I have? How can gratitude shift my perspective today? The creative process isn't just about producing work, it's about appreciating the journey. By cultivating gratitude, you find joy in the act of creating, resilience in the face of challenges, and inspiration in the everyday. As the Buddhists teach, true wealth lies not in what you achieve, but in the gratitude you hold for the opportunities along the way. 10. Achieving creative freedom with a Buddhist mindset. True creative freedom isn't about having endless time, resources, or opportunities. It's about liberating your mind from the barriers that hold you back. Fear of judgment, perfectionism, procrastination, and self-doubt can weigh heavily on your ability to create. A Buddhist mindset, with its emphasis on self-mastery, detachment from external validation, and focus on the present, provides the tools to break free from these constraints and fully express your creative potential. The Buddhists believed that freedom begins in the mind. A wise monk taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. For creatives, this means letting go of the outcomes you can't dictate, whether your work will be praised, sold, or even understood, and focusing instead on the effort and intention you bring to the process. When you free yourself from the need for external approval, you unlock the joy of creating for its own sake. One of the greatest barriers to creative freedom is the fear of failure. The Buddhists remind us that failure isn't something to be feared, but embraced. Buddha wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By reframing failure as a necessary part of growth, you allow yourself the freedom to experiment, take risks, and explore without the weight of perfectionism. Each misstep becomes a lesson, bringing you closer to mastery. Another key to creative freedom is detaching from comparisons. In today's hyper-connected world, it's easy to measure your work against others and feel inadequate. The Buddhists advise focusing on your own path. Buddha said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Instead of looking outward, look inward." What unique perspective do you bring? What drives your creative vision? By grounding yourself in your values, you free yourself from the pressure to conform or compete. Time is another constraint that often stifles creativity. We tell ourselves, "I'll create when I have more time," only to find that the perfect moment never comes. The Buddhists remind us that time is fleeting and should be used wisely. Buddha urged, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." For creatives, this translates to prioritizing your craft, even in small, consistent increments. Instead of waiting for ideal conditions, use the time you have now to create, no matter how limited it may seem. Procrastination is another common hurdle to creative freedom. The Buddhists emphasized action as a remedy for stagnation. A wise monk advised, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Start with small, achievable tasks that build momentum. Whether it's sketching an idea, drafting a paragraph, or experimenting with a melody, taking action, however imperfect, frees you from the paralysis of overthinking. Buddhist principles also teach the importance of presence. Creativity thrives when you're fully engaged in the moment, unburdened by worries about the past or future. Buddha wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." When you focus entirely on the task at hand, you enter a state of flow, where ideas come naturally and time seems to disappear. Practice mindfulness as you create. Feel the texture of the paintbrush. Hear the rhythm of the words, or sense the movement of your hands on an instrument. Presence transforms the act of creating into an experience of freedom and joy. Lastly, true creative freedom comes from embracing the process over the product. The Buddhists believed in finding fulfillment in the effort itself, regardless of the outcome. Buddha observed, the fruit of this life is a good character and acts for the common good. For creatives, the fruit of your work isn't just the finished piece. It's the growth, insight, and satisfaction you gain along the way by focusing on the process.